I was clearly a transmigrator, yet I had inherited the original owner's identity and memories as a hopeless simp. Looking at the word, "get lost," Vivian had sent on my phone. I was so furious I kicked over the burning charcoal basin. As a corporate drone who worked the 996 grind, I knew better than anyone that time was money. Yet, the original owner had actually wasted his best years on a woman like this. When I looked through the chat history on his phone, I found that this so-called girlfriend had never once acknowledged his status, and had even formed a couple relationship with someone else in the game. The most ironic part was that, to please her, the original owner had practiced guitar like crazy and rented a loft, only to get one cold, get lost, after another in return. I stared at the phone screen, the corner of my mouth curling into a mocking arc. Vivian's excuses were utterly ridiculous to me. She could fool the original owner, that love-addled idiot, but she could not fool me. She kept him hanging while cheating on him, all while spending his money. Now this rotten debt had landed on my head. I searched my pockets. My cigarettes were gone. I pushed open the apartment door, and the heat of the late night rushed straight at my face. This shabby neighborhood was even worse than I had imagined. The stairwells were tangled with electric wires. The alley was packed with e-bikes, making it hard even to walk. Mosquitoes swarmed beneath the only street lamp. If it were not close to the university, this dump would not even be worth $800. The light from the convenience store finally made things feel a little more comfortable after buying cigarettes. I stood at the entrance and tore open the pack. My gaze unintentionally fell on a figure beside the trash can. Across the street it was a girl curled up there, her arms wrapped around her knees as she leaned against the trash can, clutching a few sheets of paper. There was also a white woven bag by her feet. It was already 10:30 at night. A young girl squatting alone in a place like this could not possibly be doing performance art. Could she? The motion of lighting my cigarette suddenly froze. This body clearly was not used to the stimulation of nicotine, and I coughed until my throat burned. Hearing the sound, the girl lifted her head beneath her messy bangs. A pair of clear eyes stared at me with obvious displeasure. Under the streetlight, the girl's quiet face was so beautiful it made my heart race as if possessed. I handed over the cigarette I had just lit. One. I shook the cigarette in my hand. Beneath Lily's bangs, those damp almond eyes blinked, as if she were hesitating over whether to cross that invisible boundary. She hesitantly took the cigarette, clumsily, holding it between her lips and taking a deep drag, only to choke until tears filled her eyes. Even the tips of her ears turned red as she hunched over, coughing non-stop. Then, stubbornly, she took another drag. This time even the tip of her nose wrinkled like a tiny walnut. The cigarette trembled between her fingers like a disobedient firefly. The flickering glow reflected against the reddened corners of her eyes. I found it amusing and reached out to snatch the cigarette away. Little ancestor, do you have a grudge against cigarettes? I shook the cigarette pack and started spouting nonsense with a completely serious face. Do you know why it is called a share pack? One person smoking is selfish, two people smoking is sharing. Now even the wind has had a puff. I deliberately aimed the cigarette butt at Lily and flicked it. Now it is your turn to lose your mind. You are the one losing your mind. Lily puffed up her cheeks in anger, looking like a bristling hamster. Seeing that she could still talk back, I took the chance to sit beside her and turned my head to introduce myself. I'm Ethan Walker. What about you? Lily did not answer. She only shifted a little closer to the trash can, putting some distance between us. She looked toward the brightly lit convenience store not far away, her gaze a little absent. I followed her line of sight, then suddenly seemed to remember something and ran into the convenience store. When I came back, I was holding 2 small vanilla ice cream bars. Here, cool down. Lily instinctively reached out, then pulled her hand back, but the ice cream had already been stuffed into her palm. She murmured a thank you, then hesitated before finally introducing herself. Lily. I solemnly raised my ice cream and brought it close to hers. Lily. Cheers. She froze for a moment, but still did as I did. The ice creams bumped together with a soft clack, and the cold sweetness melted in her mouth. Her eyes curved into crescent moons, as if she had not felt this at ease in a very long time. For the next dozen minutes, we quietly ate our ice cream. Lily bit the wooden stick beside me, instead looking a little uneasy, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. She suddenly spoke. Ethan, aren't you going back to the dorm? I came back to my senses and looked at the blue sign of the convenience store. I seemed to understand why she was sitting here. She could borrow the light to drive away the loneliness while hiding her own fragility in a corner. I rent a place outside. I don't have to rush back to the dorm. I glanced at the white woven bag beside her and asked softly, do you have somewhere to go tonight? Lily's eyes dimmed. She lowered her head and shrank a little closer to the trash can, mumbling, I'll go back soon. I did not expose her lie. I patted the dust off myself and smiled. Then come rest at my place for a while. The AC is cool, and it's safe when you want to leave. Just turn off the AC. Lily lowered her head and looked at the crumpled papers in her hand. It was a hospital examination report. She thought of what the doctor had said, and all her strength shattered in that instant. She raised her head to look at me, a bitter smile appearing on her lips. Why are you helping me? I scratched my neck and gave her a roguish smile. Because you're pretty, obviously. If it was someone else who looked like a bear and had dark skin, I wouldn't dare come near them right now. Lily was amused. She laughed, tears still hanging on her face. But finally tore the report to pieces and threw it into the trash can. She stood up and softly said, "Ethan, then I'll have to trouble you." Only when Lily stood up did I truly see her full figure. Under the street lamp, her slender silhouette cast an elegant shadow. The washed-out white t-shirt unexpectedly outlined perfect curves. The night breeze lifted the hem, and the faintly visible line of her waist made me unconsciously hold my breath. "If you look like this, my Adam's apple," bobbed, and my voice tightened a little, "I might really end up clinging to you and never leaving Lily's." Ear tips instantly turned dark red. She turned her face away and muttered softly, "Then don't leave." Those words were like a pebble tossed into a lake, stirring ripples. Through my heart I forced myself to stay calm and teased her, "Don't test my self-control. What if I really can't hold back?" As I spoke, I had already picked up her woven bag, moving as naturally as if I had done it 1,000 times. "Let's go if it gets any later. The dorm gates will close. I'll carry it myself." Lily reached out to grab it. "Don't even think about it." I lifted the bag high, light flashing in my eyes. "This is my hostage. What if you run off halfway? Where am I supposed to find you?" Lily was amused by me, her brows and eyes curving into pretty crescent moons. "Then tell me if you get tired." Tired? I secretly laughed in my heart right now. I wished I could carry her and sprint the whole way. On the way back, I kept turning around to make sure she was following Lily. Noticed my gaze, then suddenly quickened her pace by 2 steps and, though shy, firmly took hold of my arm. That movement instantly turned me to stone. I could clearly feel the warmth coming from her arm, along with my own heart suddenly speeding up. The insects on the summer night chirped noisily, yet they could not drown out the heartbeats pounding like ribs between us. "This way, you won't keep looking back." Lily's voice was as soft as a feather. I lowered my head and looked at her reddened ear tips, then suddenly turned my hand and held her wrist. "I would love it if you kept holding my arm like this." Realizing my own impulsiveness, I hurriedly changed the subject. "It's really hot tonight, mm." Lily's voice almost melted into the night breeze. We walked slowly like that, and I deliberately slowed my steps, enjoying this rare quiet. Lily suddenly tugged at my sleeve and pointed at the oscillating fan by a roadside barbecue stall. "The way you kept looking back earlier was exactly like that." "How could it be?" I widened my eyes dramatically. It clearly was. Lily rarely showed such a playful side. "Fine, I surrender." I raised both hands in surrender. "Then, as an apology, how about I treat you to barbecue?" I had noticed long ago how she secretly swallowed while staring at the barbecue stall. Lily quickly waved her hand number. Before she could finish, I had already pulled her toward the stall. "Boss, 4 beef skewers and 4 lamb skewers." After ordering, I gently pinched Lily's wrist. "Let's split a chicken wing." Okay. Lily lowered her head, her voice as faint as a mosquito while waiting. I propped up my chin and looked at her. "It cost $80. I have to look enough to get my money's worth." As soon as I said that, Lily's cheeks immediately flushed like evening clouds. She hesitated for a few seconds, then slowly turned her face toward me. But those lively eyes looked like a startled fawn, darting everywhere, never finding a proper place to land. It was not that she had never heard boys tease her before. While working part-time, she had heard far too many probing jokes like that. But in my tone, she clearly heard a bit of genuine heartache. That discovery made her unable to hold back a soft laugh, and her gaze finally found focus, looking straight into my eyes. I never expected that I would be the one to lose first. I flusteredly turned my face away and pretended to develop a strong interest in the barbecue. "Grill business is pretty good here." As I spoke, I exaggeratedly fanned myself with my hand, as if trying to drive away the heat on my face. Crap. I suddenly took out my phone and, annoyed, scratched my hair. When I had been walking hand in hand with Lily, I had completely forgotten the time. This was the first time in more than 20 years that I had been this close to a girl. "You won't make it back to the dorm?" Lily tilted her head and asked when she saw the photo on my phone screen clearly. Her smile instantly froze. "Is that your girlfriend?" Her voice was so soft it was almost inaudible. I hurriedly pulled the phone back. The photo of Vivian on the screen left me tongue-tied for a moment. In the end, I squeezed out one sentence: "She owes me money." This clumsy excuse stunned Lily, but compared with vague answers like, "just a normal friend," this answer seemed more real instead. She did not notice that the corner of her mouth had already lifted. Unconsciously I rested my chin on my hand and stared at her without blinking. Her reaction when she misunderstood just now inexplicably made my heart race, as if I had returned to the green days of first love. "Does she really owe you money?" Lily looked straight into my eyes, her voice carrying a concern she herself had not noticed. "That's a long story," I was just about to explain, when the server arrived at the perfect time with the packed barbecue. I picked up the luggage and gestured toward the barbecue with my mouth. "You carry that when we get back. I'll slowly tell you this big piece of gossip on the way back to the apartment." I deliberately slowed my steps. How I wished I could feel Lily holding my arm again the way she had on the way here, but unfortunately, between the two of us now, there seemed to be an invisible layer of distance. Lily carefully held the barbecue bag, and the rich aroma made her unconsciously lick her lips. The memory of the last time she had eaten barbecue surfaced before her eyes. That was back in middle school, when she used the $5 she had picked up to secretly buy her first lamb skewer with him. My voice pulled her back to reality. Not paying attention, she crashed straight into my arms. "Sorry, She rubbed her forehead and apologized in a panic, while I smiled brightly and gave her a thumbs up that was a great collision. I pointed at my chest. You crashed right in here. Lily stood at the doorway, a faint blush rising on her cheeks. She turned her face away and studied the dark stairwell, her voice as light as a feather. This is the apartment. You were talking about third floor. No elevator. I carried the luggage upstairs first. The key turned with a crisp click, and when I pushed the door open, cold air rushed at us. I let out a long breath, as if I had jumped from a steamer into an ice cellar. I kicked off my sneakers and pulled a pair of pale yellow slippers from the shoe cabinet, placing them by the entrance. This pair was obviously a match with the pair on my feet, but I pretended not to notice that detail and leaned against the wall to make way for her. Take a look around. Lily stood outside the door and peered in. The apartment was not big, and the creamy yellow walls gave off a warm feeling. Various little decorations added a touch of liveliness. Her gaze swept over the clean floor and bright lights, before finally landing on my smiling eyes, and her ear tips instantly heated up. She hurriedly lowered her head. Come in and eat the barbecue. It won't taste good once it gets cold. I gave her a way out. After hesitating for a few seconds, Lily finally stepped inside, hearing the door behind her click shut. Her shoulders trembled, yet for some reason, she let out a breath of relief. The two pairs of slippers side by side at the entrance made her bite her lip. That girl really only owes you money. Of course. I exaggeratedly pointed at the laptop. The evidence is all there. Lily changed into the slippers and followed me to sit cross-legged on the rug. I opened the chat history and recounted the original owner's bloody history of being a simp. So she treated me like an ATM and used my money to keep some pretty boy. I curled my lip. I treated her like my first love, and she treated me like a field to harvest. Lily burst out laughing, and the heart that had been hanging in suspense finally settled. She noticed that her luggage had been carefully placed on a small wooden chair, and that little detail made her eyes warm. I opened the barbecue package and poured 2 cups of Coke. The bubbles danced in the cups, just like my excited mood at that moment. It was originally just a late-night snack I bought for myself. Cheers. Lily's brows and eyes curved as she touched her cup against mine. The carbonated drink burst on her tongue in tiny bubbles. She tilted her head back and breathed out, as if she had exhaled all the gloom of the past few days. From now on, don't casually follow boys home. I handed her a lamb skewer and said solemnly, what if you run into a bad guy? Then will you kick me out? Lily tilted her head, her eyes as pure as fresh snow. I was tongue-tied for a moment. She laughed softly. Besides, I didn't just follow someone randomly. Was I moved by my handsome face or my noble character? It was your unique sense of humor. Lily blinked. A lot of people tried to hit on me tonight, but you were the first one like that. She raised the lamb skewer and tapped it against mine, starlight filling her eyes. Ethan. Cheers. I was lowering my head to sort through Vivian's evidence when a lamb skewer suddenly appeared by my mouth. I looked up in a daze and met Lily's slightly flushed cheeks and flickering eyes. If you don't eat it now, it'll get cold. Her voice was as light as a feather. My ears heated up, and I obediently opened my mouth to take it. This feeling was too strange. Being fed by a pretty girl made even chewing feel cautious. Lily seemed to be enjoying herself, her eyes shining as she continued feeding me until all the skewers were gone. When the eggplant was offered to me, I was focused on calculating the dating expenses, and did not notice until I bit down and the minced garlic spilled out, dripping along my chin onto Lily's palm, which she had held out underneath. I hurriedly grabbed a tissue, only to see Lily lick the garlic from her palm like a little cat. I just didn't want to waste it. Lily stammered in explanation, her head nearly smoking. My brain crashed on the spot, and I repeated incoherently, So it was because you didn't want to waste it. After saying that, I wanted to bite off my own tongue. The bathroom became the best refuge. Hearing the sound of running water, I let out a long breath and stared blankly while holding my wildly pounding heart. That image kept circling in my mind. The sight of her soft pink tongue sweetly licking her palm made my chest tighten. Can I use your shampoo? The bathroom door suddenly opened a crack. Lily's wet hair clung to her collarbone, and steaming heat drifted out through the gap. I immediately tilted my head back and covered my nose. Hey, use whatever you want. After the door closed, I covered my eyes and fell into deep thought. Did seeing her like that mean I had to take responsibility? Or did taking her in mean I had to offer myself up? To calm myself down, I swept through the remaining barbecue like a storm, then neurotically wiped the table 3 times. When I returned to the computer, clearing up the bills gradually helped me calm down, seeing that the original owner had lived frugally, yet spent more than $3,000 on Vivian. I shook my head with a bitter smile. This was more brutal than a love tax. If Vivian had been willing to make their relationship public, that number probably could have multiplied several times. I suddenly felt grateful that I had transmigrated in time and had not inherited even more romantic debt. When Lily came out of the bathroom, water droplets were still dripping from the ends of her hair, and the loose t-shirt wrapped around her slender body, making her look like a little cat that had just escaped from prison. She walked to my side and softly asked, "Is there anything I can help with? You should shower too." I pushed the laptop toward her. "The materials are all organized. We just need to make them into a PDF file." "What is a PDF file?" Lily lowered her head, her cheeks flushing. "I went out to work after graduating from middle school." The air suddenly froze. Only then did I realize that this girl who was the same age as me, did not even know the most basic office software. I slapped my forehead in frustration. Sorry, I spaced out just now. It's actually very simple. I'll teach you, and you'll learn it in 2 minutes. I got up, opened my suitcase, took out a hairdryer and $400, and stuffed them into Lily's hands. Dry your hair first, don't catch a cold. Lily stared at the bills in her hand. The bright red color stung her eyes. The doctor's words from the hospital that afternoon still echoed in her ears. Targeted medicine, $1 million at most 1 year. That was the price death had named, and also the countdown to her life. When her mother had dumped her at the door of the rental apartment like trash, she had not even spared her a glance. Tears blurred her vision just as I turned around to go shower. She suddenly rushed over and hugged me tightly from behind. You said you were helping me because you were attracted to my looks. Her voice trembled like a fallen leaf in the wind. I'll give myself to you. I'm still a virgin. Will you like me? I felt my back soaked with warm tears. I turned around and pulled this trembling girl into my arms, gently stroking her damp hair. Then let's try dating. I held Lily's tear-streaked face in my hands, my thumb brushing over the reddened corner of her eye. Let's introduce ourselves again. I'm your boyfriend, Ethan Walker. Lily buried her face in my chest and responded softly with a nasal voice. Girlfriend. Lily. Moonlight outside the window filtered through the gauze curtains, casting overlapping shadows on the floor. Feeling the warmth of the person in my arms, I suddenly felt that $400 was far too little. I should have given her the whole world. Instead, I gently patted Lily's back, soothing her wounded heart the way one would comfort a kitten. Her fingers clutched tightly at the hem of my shirt and refused to let go. She clearly had not recovered yet. I wrapped both hands around her slender waist, and, with just a little strength, lifted her up, preparing to carry her to the sofa and dry her hair. Lily's long legs naturally curled up and wrapped around me like a koala. The soft sensation made heat rise in my heart, and my Adam's apple rolled unconsciously. I warned myself in my heart. I had to hold back. I absolutely could not take advantage of her vulnerability even though I was still young. I was already thinking far ahead. Dating meant getting married, and this kind of thing had to be taken slowly. After setting Lily properly on the sofa, I picked up the hair dryer and began drying her hair. I gently combed through her strands with my fingers, and the faint fragrance of shampoo filled the air, being cared for so carefully by me. Her hand unconsciously rested on my chest, and her body gradually softened. I held up the hair dryer and worked for half an hour, my arm aching, before finally drying her long hair. Seeing that the person in my arms had calmed down, I gently patted her back and said, little girlfriend, I'm going to take a shower. The words little girlfriend made her ears burn. She quickly lowered her head and bit her lip, her head hanging low, her voice as faint as a mosquito. Maybe you should think it over again. I pinched the tip of her nose and, seeing her evasive eyes, raised a brow. I served you for half a day, and now you want to back out? No way. I've even thought of our future kid's name. Why think it over? I've already scouted several kindergartens. I flashed a mischievous smile. Who told you to provoke me first? She was so embarrassed she looked like she might burst into flames, white steam practically puffing from the top of her head. She let out a soft hum like a little kitten. HMPH. I hummed a song as I went to shower, thinking that I had to get up early tomorrow to report in when I heard rustling behind me. I looked back, thinking Lily was about to cling to me again, but she suddenly grabbed my hand, stood on tiptoe, and quickly pecked me on the cheek. Then, with her back to me, she gave a soft hum. You were clearly the one who provoked me first. That light kiss left me dizzy, and I staggered into the bathroom. Cold water poured down noisily, yet it could not extinguish the heat burning through my body. I took a cold shower for a long time, and only dared to go out after I had calmed down. I mustered the courage to step out, only to see Lily sitting there quietly, her face flushed pink and her fingers nervously twisting together, making my heart, which had just calmed down, stir. Again her words about never having dated before still echoed in my ears, but my eyes could not help drifting toward her. I pretended to stay calm, took a sip of water, and sat directly on the floor beside her. Her eyes were bright. She had long since noticed my heated gaze, and she bit her lower lip, then gently leaned toward me. Only when we leaned together did we realize both our bodies were stiff with tension. I suddenly burst out laughing and pointed at the computer. Why don't I teach you how to make a PDF instead? She let out a huge breath of relief and quickly turned her attention to the computer. The gap in education made her feel both sweet and uneasy. Afraid I would think she was stupid. If you want to write a proper expose, you have to put the accusations and hard evidence together. Facts and logic are what let the gossip crowd understand. Look, here she hinted for me to buy her address. Pair that with my payment record and her intimate photo with that other guy, and anyone with eyes can tell she tricked me into buying the dress so she could go on a date. Lily nodded thoughtfully and unconsciously tugged at her wrinkled clothes. Even though she knew I was the victim, she still felt sour inside. Put up the chat records where she changed her attitude after getting what she wanted. That will draw more sympathy nowadays. Dramatic essays don't work as well. Otherwise I could nail this matter. Dead in minutes. Here are the transfer records for food and drinks I bought her. They may not be hard proof on their own, but with the earlier evidence, those who understand will understand. Now look at this part. Although she had long known that I had been deceived, Looking at those records again still made her angry. She puffed up her cheeks like a little pufferfish and bumped her head against me in annoyance before storming toward the loft bedroom on the second floor. I rubbed my aching chest and stared blankly at Lily's angry back as she went upstairs. Weren't we talking about learning how to write an expose? Why did she suddenly get mad? I turned to look at the computer screen, then suddenly understood, the corners of my mouth lifting unconsciously. I had not expected this little girl to be so jealous. We had just confirmed our relationship, and she was already jealous of my ex-girlfriend. The file was almost finished. I quickly saved it in PDF format and casually sent it to my phone. Now all that was left was to confront Vivian face to face tomorrow. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the woven bag in the corner and thought of the washed out clothes Lily was wearing. Once I got that money back, the first thing I would do was take her to the mall and buy her a few pretty outfits, then treat her to a proper feast. In my previous life, when I was in college, I envied those classmates who could have pure campus romances, without worldly pressure, only the purest feelings. Unfortunately, back then, I spent all day obsessed with games, carrying my roommates through ranked matches, wasting the best years of my youth. Just as I was feeling emotional, I suddenly noticed a pair of bright eyes secretly watching me through the gap in the railing on the second floor. I smiled and waved. Upstairs. The file is done. Go lie down on the bed first. I'll turn off the lights later. I'll sleep on the sofa tonight. As soon as I finished, I heard thudding footsteps. Lily ran down again and grabbed the hem of my shirt. No, she puffed out her cheeks, her ear tips turning red. We agreed to sleep together. I scratched my head and stammered, well, we only met today. You understand this kind of thing? Lily buried her face in my chest, her mind a complete mess. When she had worked at the factory, she often heard the female co-workers talk about dating. So why, when it came to her, was she being rejected even after taking the initiative to sleep together? Does he not like me? She raised her head, her eyes flickering. Don't you want to do that with me, my Adam's apple rolled, and I forced down my impulse as I explained it. Exactly because I like you that I should treasure you even more. This kind of thing, I hope it happens because we both truly want it, not because of a moment of impulse. Can we wait until we understand each other a little better? Those words warmed Lily's heart, like a small flower suddenly blooming from barren soil. Having seen so much cheap love in the factory, she had never imagined love could be this pure. Ethan, her eyes shone brightly. I think I like you even more now after saying that, she stubbornly added. But we still have to sleep together tonight. I wailed inwardly, wanting to slap myself twice. Why was I pretending to be such a gentleman? What if this girl regretted it tomorrow? Will you always like me? Lily suddenly threw herself into my arms and asked like every girl in love. I smoothed her long hair. The future is too far away. I don't dare make guarantees, but right now, I like you so much. Lily stood on tiptoe and kissed my cheek. No matter what happens in the future, I will always like you. Who told you to provoke me first? As she spoke, she hooked her legs around my waist again. Carry me upstairs. I supported the bend of her legs, then suddenly remembered something, and took out my phone, shaking it. Take a selfie with me. I can't keep using my ex-girlfriend's photo as my wallpaper. Lily's eyes curved into crescent moons. Didn't you say she still owed you money? She tidied her bangs and hooked one hand around my arm, while making a peace sign with the other as I adjusted the angle. I realized this girl was secretly standing on tiptoe, and even quietly curling up her toes. I was just about to tease her when I saw her blush and try to snatch the phone. Cheese. The shutter clicked, freezing Lily's embarrassed, adorable expression and my triumphant bad smile. Let me see. Did you make me look ugly? Lily waved her little fists, and I protected the phone. This is our first photo together. It's precious in the photo. My gentle gaze was fixed on Lily the entire time. Seeing that, Lily gently tugged at the hem of my shirt. Said, it is your wallpaper now. From now on, you're not allowed to look at other girls. Yes, Mom, I answered with a smile, my heart sweet as if filled with honey. Half resisting, half yielding, I was dragged by Lily up to the second floor bedroom. This girl was shockingly strong. A tall guy like me, over 5'11", was dragged by her until I stumbled. Slow down. I had not even finished speaking when Lily had already slipped into the blanket like a nimble little fish, leaving only a pair of watery big eyes blinking at me from outside. I stood by the bed, scratching my head, my mind buzzing. The unbelievably beautiful girl in front of me was actually waiting for me to get into bed and sleep with her. This plot had developed so fast I wondered if I was dreaming. With a snap, I turned off the room light and, by the moonlight seeping in through the window, lifted the blanket like a thief and slipped one leg inside. The blanket was warm and carried the faint gardenia scent from Lily's body. Rustle, rustle. The sound of fabric rubbing came from beside me. Lily slowly wriggled over like a little bug, grabbed my arm, and tucked it under her neck, then took my other hand, curling her whole body against my chest. I had just opened my mouth when I felt a soft, warm little heater in my arms. Lily's body was unbelievably soft. The fragrance drifting from her hair made my tense nerves relax without me realizing it. I carefully tightened my arms and held her a little closer. Thump, 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 thump. Through the thin pajamas, I could clearly feel Lily's racing heartbeat. So this girl was bold on the surface, but she got nervous too. Ethan, I only have you now in the darkness, Lily suddenly said softly, her voice carrying a barely perceptible tremble. I'm here. I rubbed her silky long hair, my voice unconsciously softening. Go to sleep. The person in my arms curled up like a kitten, but I could not fall asleep no matter what. I quietly calculated the balance in my bank account. Originally, there had been $2,025. Last night, I spent $125 on cigarettes and barbecue, gave Lily $400, and set aside $300 for utilities, leaving only $1,200. I sighed inwardly. Although Lily had said she could go out and work, seeing her so haggard made me unable to bear it. Besides, how could dating mean eating in the cafeteria every day? I had to take my girlfriend out on dates, and then there were her washed out clothes and ancient phone. The more I thought about it, the more my head hurt. How much money I could get back from Vivian was still unknown. It looked like I had to find a part-time job as soon as possible. The next morning, just as the horizon began to turn pale, I woke up before the alarm even started ringing. Out of habit, I reached beside me, only to touch an empty blanket. With only a faint fragrance lingering on the pillow, I rubbed my eyes, and a strange unease rose in my heart. I instinctively glanced toward the living room and saw that the white woven bag was still obediently leaning against the chair. Only then did the stone hanging in my heart finally drop. She must have gone out early. I washed up rather casually, and had just pulled open the door when I saw Lily curled up by the doorway, her face wrinkled into a ball as if she had suffered some great grievance. As soon as she saw me come out, she immediately stood up, ran over, and lifted the breakfast in her hand in front of me. Her voice was soft and sticky, with a hint of dissatisfaction. I specially bought buns and soy milk, but the door locked itself. I couldn't get in, and I didn't dare wake you. Heat drifted from the bag, the soy milk still steaming, and the buns had not cooled yet. My heart warmed, and with a trace of urgency, I pulled her into my arms. My voice muffled. I almost thought you had left me and run away. Lily froze for a second, then wrapped both arms around me and refused to let go. Just like a clingy little koala, I said I would cling to you. How could I run away? She lifted her head, stood on tiptoe, and planted a light kiss on my cheek. Her smile carried a trace of slyness and playfulness. You actually got nervous about me. That makes me really happy. I won't make you worry next time. Who was nervous about you? I turned my face away. Stubbornly, I was just afraid. I really ran into a ghost last night, the kind that specializes in stealing souls. She grinned, revealing two cute little canine teeth. I coughed lightly, half trying to act tough and half lazily embarrassed, then stuffed the key into her hand. Stop messing around. I'm going to be late. I'll eat at the cafeteria for lunch. You can just make do with whatever. When I come back tonight, I'll take you out for something good. Okay. She nodded and waved goodbye. See you tonight, Ethan. See you tonight. I pushed my bike downstairs and stepped onto my e-bike. The wind swept away my sleepiness along with the warmth from just now. On the first day of school, the classroom was bustling. Groups of classmates gathered in their own corners, chatting. I just learned to drive over summer break and got tanned like charcoal, but I finally got my license. Awesome. I spent the whole break gaming at home, and my rank got stuck at 70 stars. I couldn't climb any higher. I interned at my uncle's company and followed him into some stock trading. I earned my own living expenses. I went to Riverton and had a blast. The girls there were prettier than the last, a total goddess every few steps, and the lamb there was really fragrant. Unlike here where everything tastes synthetic. I walked through the noise straight to the back row and found my group of bad friends. My dorm leader Zach Mitchell laughed and called out, Ethan, why didn't you come back last night? I even covered your attendance. I helplessly spread my hands. Don't cover for me anymore. I rented a place outside, so I probably won't go back to the dorm much. Ryan Cooper leaned over with an ambiguous look and gestured toward the front row of the classroom. Don't tell me you moved in with Vivian. I shook my head, a relaxed smile tugging at my lips, while in my heart I thought of the soft little cat waiting at home and decided to keep it a secret for now. Ethan, Vivian has kept you hanging for so long. You might as well try someone else. Ryan lowered his voice and added mysteriously, I heard a girl transferred to the new campus, and her looks are insane. They say she was immediately crowned the new campus belle. Since when was there a campus belle ranking? Why didn't I know Brandon Brooks? Cut in. You're already in a relationship. Why are you still gossiping? Ryan smacked him, then winked at me. Why don't you go chase the new girl at the very least? It could put some pressure on Vivian. I was too lazy to respond, but I secretly laughed in my heart. Is there anyone cuter than Lily? What a joke. As we were talking, the classroom suddenly quieted down. The boys all looked toward the doorway, followed by a burst of surprised gasps. Whoa, this new classmate is like a fairy descended from heaven. Even Vivian has to step aside. Discussion broke out everywhere. I casually lifted my eyes and happened to meet the familiar yet unfamiliar figure at the door. Lily had clearly still been a pitiful little thing yesterday, yet today she was dressed cleanly and neatly, her calm aura making her seem like a different person. She found a seat in the front row, her figure cool and distant, completely different from yesterday. Could she really be some rich young lady experiencing life among ordinary people? A ridiculous guess surfaced in my mind, and I was both amused and speechless before I could think further. My phone vibrated. Vivian had sent breakfast. I quickly replied thanks, but felt no ripple in my heart. She was rather enthusiastic. The homeroom teacher had not arrived yet, So I quickly opened the breakfast Lily had bought, the warm buns and sweet soy milk made a smile hang at the corner of my mouth. A breakfast personally bought by a beautiful campus belle tasted especially sweet just thinking about it. Vivian waited for a while, and when she saw no movement from me, she turned back for a glance and saw me eating with relish. Her brows furrowed slightly, and she sent another message, "Where is my breakfast?" I only glanced at it, then casually tossed my phone aside. Vivian liked it when I acted attentive to her in front of everyone, as if it had become a standard accessory to satisfy her vanity, but I only found it more and more boring. Staring blankly out the window, I estimated that the homeroom teacher would arrive in a few minutes. In the end, I still stood up and slowly walked forward. The classmates were used to it and began whispering quietly. Ethan is going to deliver warmth again, if you ask me. Bringing her breakfast every day is worse than giving up already. So what if he brings breakfast? Can that really win him a girlfriend? Some girls giggled too every time Vivian takes the breakfast. She looks impatient. Can you boys have a little self-respect amid the noisy chatter? Vivian straightened her back and pretended to chat passionately with her best friend, while the corner of her eye stayed fixed on my figure. She planned to leave me hanging for a while to teach me a lesson for not delivering breakfast immediately. I stood beside Vivian for a moment and glanced at her, but in my heart, I only felt like I was watching a stage play with terrible acting. Vivian, Ethan is here, her best friend Jessica reminded her. Vivian frowned and pretended to turn back unhappily, just about to speak Ethan, but to her surprise, I treated her like air, walked past her, and headed straight to the new classmate. The entire class's gaze followed me in unison, and discussions rose one after another. Damn, bro, impressive. Ethan is changing targets after licking someone's boots for half a year and getting nowhere. If it were me, I would have told her to get lost ages ago. The girl clearly isn't interested. Yet he keeps chasing her. What is he after in the end? Vivian just doesn't like him. She should have made it clear long ago. I remember during evening study last time, Vivian was even sitting with another guy. She'll give attention to anyone except him. That move is something else. Vivian was so angry her face turned red, and she glared hard at my back, the superiority in her heart seemingly crushed to pieces. After sitting down, I propped my chin on one hand and looked meaningfully at Lily. I thought I would see her shyly avoiding my gaze, blushing to her ears, but instead, she only frowned coldly and stared at me with a half smile. Classmate, don't you think it's rude to stare at someone like that? Her voice was clear, and her presence fully opened up. I smiled and raised my hands in surrender. Fine, I won't look. Just then, the homeroom teacher entered the classroom with the counselor, and the room instantly quieted down. The homeroom teacher first comforted everyone, telling us to pay attention to major social events and industry changes, then earnestly reminded us that economics was popular, but once we truly entered society, without background or resources, most people would only become a screw in the financial industry. What you're learning is merely how to understand the world from different perspectives. As for employment, sometimes, all the talk about original sin of capital and macroeconomic regulation really was not as practical as having a good company at home. Many people in the classroom lowered their heads and scrolled through their phones, their minds wandering elsewhere. Only a very small number listened seriously. Only someone like me could truly feel the deeper meaning in the homeroom teacher's words. In this world, capital seeped into every corner. Perhaps the meaning of studying was to let people see life for what it really was. After so many years away from a university classroom, this long-lost identity as a student gave me an inexplicable sense of freshness. My focused gaze fell on the podium, and I listened to every word from the homeroom teacher with unusual care, as if I had returned to those inexperienced years. And my heart also became simple and sensitive along with it. The homeroom teacher was clearly long used to the students' lack of attention, and was only somewhat surprised by my seriousness from time to time. While speaking by the podium, his gaze would linger on me a little longer. Before class ended, the homeroom teacher nodded meaningfully at me, and I quickly pressed my hands together, a respect for the teacher's duty to pass on knowledge and resolve confusion rising in my heart. But reality was always sharper than textbooks. Only after truly stepping into society did one understand that knowledge had long been clearly priced. Once tuition was paid, whether one gained wisdom or a lesson, no one could say for sure. When the homeroom teacher left, he smiled gently and handed the follow-up matters to the counselor and the class monitor. The counselor stepped onto the podium, coughed twice, and announced that the new semester had officially begun. I'm very happy to see everyone again. Starting today, you are sophomores climbing to the next level, he said. Then his tone suddenly shifted. This semester, our class has a new transfer student. Please come up and introduce yourself. The boys who had originally been looking down at their phones instantly perked up. Their gazes all shot toward the front. I saw this and casually cleared a path for the girl, then encouraged her in a low voice, "Don't be nervous, you've got this." The girl froze for a moment, suspicion flashing through her eyes. She thought this boy was a little strange, but still nodded and walked up to the podium, her voice clear. "Hello, everyone, my name is Autumn Lane. I was originally from the School of Computer Science. I'm very happy to transfer into economics and become classmates with all of you. I hope we can make progress together from now on." She politely bowed, then lightly returned to her seat. While I felt like I had been struck over the head. Wasn't she Lily? When did she become Autumn? Lane, was that fragile look from last night all an act? She had not even been willing to tell me her real name. My gaze unconsciously carried a questioning edge, as I glared hard at Autumn. Lane, but because we were still in class, I forced down my anger and did not explode on the spot. Autumn. Lane noticed my gaze and frowned deeply. Just now, she had thought this boy earned a few points for listening seriously in class. But now he was suddenly glaring at her for no reason. Did he think becoming desk mates made him her boyfriend? She had only introduced herself. Yet he was already unhappy. That was way too ridiculous. She silently took a deep breath and complained inwardly. Running into a psycho on the first day of school is really unlucky. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little strange, the counselor quickly shifted everyone's attention next. We'll hand out the textbooks for the new semester. The day after tomorrow is the weekend. And it also happens to be freshman registration day. If any of you are free, you can help the college set up tents and take care of the new students. As soon as he finished speaking, the class monitor began handing out textbooks, and the students gradually left the classroom. But before leaving, they could not help glancing at Autumn a few more times. Excuse me, Autumn said coldly, her tone flat. I stood up and looked straight into her eyes. Instead of acting like you're covered in ice, should I call you Lily or Autumn Lane? Are you insane? I said my name is Autumn Lane. Autumn instantly bristled and reached out to push me away. This way of hitting on someone is disgusting. Stop bothering me, or I'll go to the counselor. Watching her walk away, my chest rose and fell unevenly. Yesterday she had said she depended on me, but today she called me disgusting. Had all that tenderness last night been fake? I could not tell which was the real Lily, or had I simply been the target of some prank? I gloomily pulled out my phone and could not help sending her a message. Why did you lie to me? Then I added another line. You can live in the apartment by yourself. I'm going back to the dorm. Kevin Ward walked over and patted my shoulder, speaking earnestly. Ethan, this isn't how you chase girls. Ryan Cooper also leaned in and chimed in. Come back to the dorm this afternoon. For games I'll support you. Kevin, we'll teach you some dating skills. Zach Mitchell joined in the teasing too. Knock it off, let the young couple digest it themselves. Seeing my roommates surround me while teasing and joking, some of the irritation in my heart actually eased a little. I lit up my phone screen and explained in a low voice we just got together last night, and today she suddenly changed. Who could take that when everyone saw the intimate photo of Autumn and me on my phone? Each of their jaws nearly dropped to the floor. No way you moved that fast. The campus bell just arrived. And you already got her? No wonder you dared sit beside her. So you two knew each other already? You definitely have to treat us. Zach Mitchell herded everyone away while winking at me. Ethan, hurry up and make up with her, careful, or delays will cause trouble. I smiled bitterly, feeling as if I had experienced a short and chaotic dating game, and it was ending before I had even tasted enough sweetness. Just then, my phone screen lit up, and a string of messages popped out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. I was afraid you wouldn't like me, so I didn't dare say it. Where are you? Can I come find you? I'll tell you everything you want to know. I only have you now. Please don't ignore me. Okay, please don't leave me behind again. You were clearly the one who came close to me first. I stared blankly at the screen. I was just about to type stop clinging. To me it's disgusting. But then I remembered the way she had cried in my arms last night. In the end, I deleted every word completely. The people in the classroom gradually scattered, and the atmosphere became much emptier. Vivian linked arms with her best friend Jessica and walked up to me with some displeasure. Ethan, what is wrong with you? Didn't you say you would bring me breakfast today? Her voice carried blame. Jessica immediately backed her up, her tone full of dissatisfaction. It's not like you don't know Vivian's stomach is weak if you didn't want to bring it. You should have said so earlier. She can have gone to the cafeteria herself. She will go. I was in a low mood, and even threw away the patience to pretend, snapping back coldly. Didn't I message you yesterday? I raised my hand and made a sarcastic finger heart gesture, my thumb and index finger crossed together like I was mocking something. Seeing me make a heart gesture in front of her, Vivian's face turned green, then white. The corner of her mouth twitched, revealing undisguised disgust. I slowly rubbed my fingers together and said coldly, all you can think about is me bringing you breakfast. Miss Vivian, if you like being served so much, why don't you pay me first? If asking you for breakfast money means cutting ties, then should I send the chat history to your best friend and let her take a look? My tone suddenly changed, carrying a hint of provocation. Vivian's cheeks flushed slightly, but her eyes grew even colder and more disgusted. Who would have thought that the so-called finger heart was actually just a signal to ask for breakfast money? He had brought her breakfast for an entire semester last term and never once mentioned money. Why had he suddenly changed today? It was just breakfast. Was there any need to be so petty? Vivian already gave you the chance to pursue her. That's good enough. Jessica sneered and glanced around the classroom. Isn't it just because you've taken a liking to the new campus bell? Good thing Vivian didn't say yes. I laughed mockingly, my tone full of sarcasm. What's breakfast worth? Why don't you give me $50 and show me your sincerity in chasing someone? Why should I? Am I your mom? I don't have 50 for you. Jessica directly pulled Vivian toward the classroom door, reminding her without even turning back. Vivian, don't be soft-hearted anymore. A loser like this isn't worth dealing with at all. Watching him gradually walk away, an inexplicable emptiness filled my heart. I lowered my head and pulled out my phone. preparing to send the files I had organized last night to Vivian. But the screen was full of Lily's humble and urgent messages. My phone wall paper was Lily grinning brightly. And that smile, in a daze, actually felt a little piercing. I hesitated for a moment, but still decided to give Lily one chance and replied, "I'm at the pavilion beside the district cafeteria." After sending the message, I let out a long breath, then switched to Vivian's chat and sent her the PDF file I had organized last night. At that moment, Vivian and Jessica were walking side by side on the campus snack street, discussing whether to go to the newly opened spicy hot pot place to treat themselves. Vivian's phone screen lit up. Jessica glanced at it. "See, Ethan. The simp really came to apologize again in less than 5 minutes. You're just too soft-hearted. That's why he dares push his luck and always thinks he can win you over. I'm telling you. This time you have to vent my anger for me, or we're not best friends anymore." Vivian looked at the PDF I had sent and thought it was a love letter or some kind of dramatic confession. She did not dare open it directly in front of her best friend and quickly typed, "Get lost," then deliberately showed it to Jessica. "Girl, you're so iconic." Jessica excitedly hugged her later. "Milk tea is on me. Let's just let Ethan embarrass himself alone." I received the reply, and the screen showed the file had not been accepted. I sighed, knowing clearly that although the amount was over 3,000, aside from moral condemnation, there was not much else I could do. Since Jessica was still with Vivian, I would remind her again when she was alone. Maybe we could resolve this peacefully. After all, making things too ugly would be bad for everyone. It was not that I could not let go of that relationship. I was only afraid that if things really blew up and Vivian became depressed or something, wouldn't my transmigration drama become even more absurd? Leaving the classroom, I slowly walked toward the living area. The new students had not officially arrived yet, so the living area was empty, with only the welcome banners and slogans standing out. At the entrance, the huge green signature wall had the words "Welcome New Students" written across it, waiting for freshmen to check in and take photos. The main road was lined with rows of red tents that student union members were setting up for printing documents, taking ID photos, selling bedding sets, and even booths specifically promoting campus phone cards. Looking at the familiar yet fresh scene before me, a sudden idea flashed through my mind. The school opening season was the perfect chance to make money. I remembered that in my previous life, some classmates had earned 30 or 40,000 by promoting campus cards, while I had missed out because I worried too much. This year, why not go all in and try? Even if I only made 10 or 20,000, it would be enough to buy Lily a new phone and new clothes, and take her out for fun too. I frowned, and pulled my phone from my pocket. Aside from a bunch of brothers calling me back to the dorm to play games, there were no other messages. I opened my chat with Lily, and irritably sent, "I'm already beside the pavilion." Gritting my teeth, I made up my mind. This time, I would use the money I earned to buy myself new gear, a computer, phone, and clothes. Not a single thing could be missing. When the time came, I would send them all home and see how Lily could still say I was heartless. I had to make her regret it. Under the shade of trees in the campus living area, several young people in crisp suits were gathered around a pot-bellied middle-aged man, listening intently to his lecture. "Remember, we signed an exclusive contract." The middle-aged man patted his bulging briefcase, spit flying everywhere. "Every freshman has to get this campus card. It's linked to dorm broadband and the school intranet." He pulled out a stack of flyers and flicked them loudly in his hand. $30 for 200 gigabytes of data, plus 100 minutes of calls. Where else can you find a plan this cheap? This is a benefit the company gives college students. The commission is $200 for each card, and there are bonuses if you sell more. The man narrowed his small eyes and swept his gaze over the crowd. "Get all the equipment tested today when the freshmen arrive tomorrow. Don't mess up. Also, everyone go get a haircut tonight. Girls, remember to put on makeup. You need to look professional." The three young people nodded repeatedly, their eyes flashing with gold. They knew all too well how profitable campus card sales were during school opening season. It was practically like picking up money. If they could sell 200 cards, 40,000 would be in hand, equal to 3 or 4 months of normal wages. Not far away, I leaned against a tree trunk and listened to the whole pep talk. Only after everyone dispersed did I slowly walk over. I pulled a pack of cigarettes from my pocket, skillfully flicked one out and handed it over. "Boss, are you still recruiting campus agents?" The middle-aged man froze for a moment and looked me up and down, taking in my college student appearance. When he took the cigarette, he noticed that my motion of offering it was strangely practiced. $30 per card, and if you sell more than 100, the commission becomes 50. The man blew out a smoke ring, his tone careless. I frowned. "Boss, do I have sucker written on my face?" I said half jokingly. The carrier next door offered 150, and if the volume is high, it can be negotiated up to 200 with the exclusive agent. The man immediately took out his phone and started scrolling through short videos, his tone impatient. "The plan is this good. You can make over 1,000 a day just by casually promoting it. Enough for a month of living expenses." Young man, don't be too ambitious. Just treat it as gaining social experience. Exclusive agent, I sneered. "It only means no one else can set up a booth." I shook my phone. "How about we listen to the recording?" The man's face changed. and ash from his cigarette fell onto his suit. I took the chance to quietly save the recording of our conversation, then turned and left. This deal had fallen through, but the recording might come in handy. Inside the pavilion by the pond, I checked my phone for the third time. The chat screen still stopped at Lily's. Humble apologies. The latest message had been read but not answered. Irritated, I dialed a voice call and listened to the beeping wait tone, my fingers tapping an uneasy rhythm on my knee. Sorry, the number you have dialed has been disconnected. The mechanical female voice poured over me like a basin of cold water. I stared at Lily's smiling face on my phone wallpaper and suddenly remembered how quickly her phone battery had drained last night. Maybe her phone had just died. That thought made me feel a little better. I got on my e-bike and decided to try my luck first at the living area in Section B at the carrier booth in Section B. A senior wearing glasses was organizing flyers when he heard I was from the district. His eyes lit up. What a coincidence, I'm from the Economics Department 2 class of 2019. Graham Zhang technically. I'm a 6th year now. He laughed at himself. Hello, senior. My eyes lit up. How much is the commission over in Section B? I just asked a shady middleman, and he only offered 30 per card. Graham pushed up his glasses. Normally 100 once you pass 200 cards. It rises to 200 plus an extra 10% commission if you sell over 300. There's also a 5,000 bonus. He lowered his voice. That side has an exclusive agent, but we have special channels. My heart sped up as I listened. This was much more honest than that shady middleman in the district. I immediately filled out the application form, took 500 flyers, and rode my e-bike back to the dorm in a rush. Before I even entered, I heard waves of colorful cursing coming from inside the dorm. Liam, stop feeding already. The jungle is getting invaded non-stop. They keep ganking me. Is our jungler in the jungle picking magic mushrooms? Chris, your ADC has fewer last hits than the support. What are you even playing? This is called strategy. Look, the support's Mahais has 25 stacks already. I kicked the door open. The dads of room 203 are back. The dorm instantly went quiet. 5 pairs of eyes all snapped toward the flyer in my hand. Holy crap, you're selling campus cards? Chris was the first to jump over. I heard you can make tens of thousands. Ryan Cooper cut in with a strange tone. He has a campus belle girlfriend now. Would he care about this bit of money? Don't even bring it up. I threw the box onto my bed. We're arguing right now. Maybe you'll be single again tomorrow. What happened? Kevin Ward put down his mouse. Did you fight with Autumn Lane? I opened my mouth, then suddenly had an idea and put on a deeply affectionate expression. Speaking of it, it's all her fault. The sound of keyboards in the dorm instantly disappeared. There is always a heartbreaking mist in her eyes. I deliberately drew out my tone after being loved by her. My heart can no longer beat for anyone else. All 5 roommates shuddered at the same time, goosebumps practically falling all over the floor. It's all the moon's fault. I continued improvising. That night, the moonlight was too beautiful, and she was too gentle. Brandon suddenly widened his eyes. Don't tell me you two already. The dorm fell into dead silence. I seized the chance to slip to the door, then suddenly shouted at the top of my lungs. I admit it was all the moon's fault. That night was too beautiful, and you were too gentle. Bang. The door slammed shut behind me, followed by a thunderous explosion of curses. I laughed and ran far away. The pavilion was still empty. I looked through the photo Lily and I had taken yesterday on my phone. Her shy expression had been so real. How did she suddenly become Autumn Lane today and refuse to see me? I called that number again. It was disconnected. The flyers on the back seat of my e-bike rustled loudly in the wind, just like my chaotic mood at that moment. I stared at my phone screen, and suddenly laughed. The smile came out of nowhere, yet it finally loosened my tense nerves. So Lily must have left the apartment after sending that message, and because her phone had run out of credit, she did not receive my reply. That was why she had not appeared at the agreed pavilion. I casually topped up $30 of phone credit and dialed the familiar number again. The beep had barely sounded before the call connected. A trembling, tearful voice came through the receiver. Ethan, I'm sorry. Where are you? I asked so many people, but I couldn't find you. Her voice was like a feather soaked by rain. Please don't disappear, okay? I really only have you now. Every sob was like a tiny shard of glass, stirring back and forth in my chest with each heartbeat. I took a deep breath and softened my voice. Tell me where you are. I'll come over right now. I no longer cared about the arrogant Lily from this morning, as long as the girl in front of me was willing to explain clearly why she had drawn a line. I'm at the south gate of your school, the one with the fountain. She sniffled. You have to come wait for me 5 minutes. I was still thinking as I got on my e-bike. We had clearly been in the same classroom this morning. So how could she not even know which campus she was on now? The economics teaching building on the north campus and the science and engineering buildings on the south campus were 20 minutes apart by bike. At the fountain, 3 boys were surrounding a petite figure. Lily stood on tiptoe, looking around through the crowd, ignoring the guys trying to chat her up, until a pale green e-bike braked sharply in front of her. Her eyes suddenly lit up like sparks being ignited. Ethan, the force with which she threw herself at me nearly made the e-bike lose balance. I wrapped my arms around her trembling body and caught the familiar scent of shampoo, completely different from the sharp perfume from this morning. At this moment, the girl in my arms was as soft as a cloud. Bro, treat your girlfriend well, one of the boys beside us said sourly. She asked around 5 whole roads holding your photo. I thanked him, then suddenly froze. Photo, we had clearly met in the classroom this morning. I held Lily's frightened face and examined it carefully. Her moist eyes and reddened nose were completely different from the proud, arrogant girl from this morning. My phone suddenly vibrated, and a sharp female voice came from an unfamiliar number. Ethan Walker. What gives you the right to spread rumors that I'm your girlfriend is spreading dirty rumors about girls? Fun for you. Do you think I'll like you if you do this? I stood frozen in place, listening. The voice on the phone clearly belonged to the Lily who had slammed a textbook in my face this morning. The girl in my arms was nuzzling her head against my chest, while the girl on the phone was still roaring, "Are you childish? Or what do you know that this only makes me feel disgusted if the one now nestled in my arms was Lily? Then who was this aggressive Lily on the other end of the phone?" I stared at the two girls before me, whose faces were similar but whose auras were completely different, and suddenly realized how absurd the situation was. Autumn Lane's questioning voice still echoed in my ears, while Lily timidly tugged at the hem of my shirt. Like a frightened little rabbit, Autumn Lane's voice was like a sharp ice pick, stabbing straight into my eardrum. "Don't try to change the subject. Students from the South Campus have already told me." She bit down hard on every word, as if she wanted to pierce through the phone screen. "You are seriously affecting my studies and my life. You must give me an explanation tomorrow, or I'm going to the counselor." I could imagine what she looked like right now. Brows tightly furrowed, fingers painted with nude nail polish impatiently tapping on the desk. That voice perfectly overlapped with the Lily in the classroom this morning. Yet it was completely different from the girl humming against my shoulder at this moment. "Meet me downstairs at the dorm in 10 minutes. I hurriedly hung up and turned to meet Lily's wet eyes. The girl's lashes trembled slightly like butterfly wings dampened by rain. "Did you fall for stop?" I suddenly reached out and pinched her soft cheek. "Are you sure you don't have a missing twin sister, Lily?" As Lily shook her head blankly, the ends of her hair brushed my wrist with the scent of sweet orange shampoo. I noticed a tiny mole behind her ear, when the Lily from this morning had worn a high ponytail. That spot had clearly been empty as the e-bike drove down the Sycamore Avenue. Lily suddenly buried her face against my back. Through the fabric of the school uniform, I could feel her secretly rubbing my shoulder blade with the tip of her nose. "Back when I rode in my mom's car," her muffled voice came through. "I never dared to hug like this." Downstairs at the dorm, Autumn Lane stood with her arms crossed, looking like a sword drawn from its sheath. She was just about to speak when her gaze suddenly froze on the girl standing behind me, a girl with the same facial outline as her, only the washed-out dress and timid eyes of the other girl made her look like an old photograph faded by rain. The instant the two girls looked at each other, I felt as if worlds on opposite sides of a mirror were colliding. After a moment of silence, Lily spoke first. "My mom never told me I had a twin sister." "What about your dad?" "Mom said my dad died when I was very little." I nodded thoughtfully. In response, "It's possible they divorced, and the family simply said your dad had passed away. That's pretty common." I looked at Autumn Lane again. "What about you? Did you grow up with your parents?" My parents have always had a good relationship. They both raised me when I was little too, and no one ever mentioned any twin sister. It's very possible the two families separated when you were little, and no one at home would take the initiative to bring up the divorce." I analyzed. "Oh right, when are your birthdays?" "If they're the same day, that basically confirms it." "August 8th, 2007, the last day of summer," Lily said with a little pride, clearly liking her birthday very much. I looked at Autumn Lane expectantly. "August 9th, 2006, Autumn Lane frowned slightly. I had originally thought she and Lily might really be related by blood, but after hearing the birthdays, doubt rose again. In my heart I fell silent for a moment, muttering inwardly. One day apart could still be explained as being born in the early morning, but a whole year apart really made no sense. Was this really some biological miracle? Sigh. "Anyway, this is the situation, let's discuss how to solve it." I sighed helplessly and bowed to Autumn Lane, apologizing seriously. "Sorry. This morning I mistook you for Lily. I may have offended you." Lily also bowed along with me, even though she still had not figured out what exactly had happened. Autumn Lane opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end, she only sighed. "Actually, I was also at fault. It's this." My fingers gently passed through Lily's soft hair as my gaze turned to Autumn Lane. "About the rumors at school. How do you want to handle them? Why don't the three of us take a photo together and post it to Moments?" I raised a sly smile. "Let everyone witness a biological miracle." Autumn Lane was about to nod, when her eyes suddenly brightened. "I have a better idea." She winked at Lily. "Lily, little sister, let me borrow your boyfriend for a second." Lily released the hand clutching my shirt in confusion. Autumn Lane grabbed my arm and yanked me down hard. Click. She snapped a selfie. Done. Then she looked gently at Lily. "Let's add each other's contacts." While the two exchanged WeChat, Autumn Lane looked at Lily's washed out collar. "I have a few pieces of clothing I've only worn 2 or 3 times. I'll take care of my girlfriend myself." I interrupted domineeringly, taking Lily's hand and about to leave. But Lily suddenly hugged my arm and smiled sweetly at Autumn Lane. "Bye, Autumn." The road to the cafeteria was ahead when I suddenly leaned closer. "What was the little secret you said you were hiding from me earlier?" Lily puffed up her cheeks. "Didn't you say I didn't have to tell you?" Then she suddenly stood on tiptoe and whispered softly by my ear, "The secret is that I like you." "What kind of secret is that?" I laughed and pinched her reddened cheek. I knew that ages ago on the second floor of the Section A cafeteria, Lily stared at the price board and wrinkled her nose when she noticed the $6 egg fried rice. Her eyes instantly lit up. "I want this." Looking at the scattered bits of ham in the bowl, She muttered indignantly. Can I add 4 eggs? When we make money, I'll prop my chin up and look at her. And open a stall for you. $6 gets 4 eggs and 2 ham sausages. Lily blushed and pushed the leftover rice to me. I can't finish it. When I directly used her chopsticks to eat it, smoke was practically coming from the top of her head. That was what I used, which is why it tastes especially good. I grinned wickedly and held the chopsticks to her mouth. Try it. As if possessed, Lily licked the tip of the chopsticks. Both of our ears instantly turned red as we strolled along the sycamore path. Lily suddenly kicked a pebble. Away. Not fair. You still haven't told me your birthday. May 20th. 2007. I ruffled her hair. Call me big brother and let me hear it. No way. Lily turned her face away, yet secretly glanced at me from the corner of her eye. He was clearly her own boyfriend. Yet he actually wanted her to call him big brother. She bit her lip, remembering how her former co-workers often raised their voices and called their boyfriends big brother, making her get goosebumps. She absolutely would not agree to such an outrageous request from me. I looked a little disappointed and glanced at Lily with an aggrieved expression. Lily's face instantly reddened, and her eyes dodged slightly. Damn me, I was actually trying to make her soften, but it was only calling him big brother if it made him happy. Lily was lowering her head in hesitation when she suddenly felt her hand being tightly held. She looked up and met a pair of smiling eyes. I was looking at her with that pleased yet gentle expression. She lightly shot me a glance, a trace of shyness and coquettishness appearing on her face. Her voice soft and sweet as she prepared to call me big brother. But before she could say it, my phone suddenly vibrated violently, completely interrupting her courage. I frowned at the unfamiliar caller ID as soon as I answered. I heard a young man aggressively question, are you Ethan Walker? Break up with Autumn right now. The phone nearly shook apart from his voice. I helplessly glanced at Lily. There sure are a lot of dramatic teenagers these days, bro. First, I'm not dating Autumn Lane. Second, I have a girlfriend. I wondered where he had gotten my number. Liar, she already made it official. The other person refused to let it go. I'm going to tell her you're too timing. I laughed from anger. What? If I break up, you can take my place. I glanced at Lily, a wicked smile tugging at my lips, and suddenly said, she's right beside me right now. Why don't you shout once? And I'll kiss her once so you can feel like you're part of the scene. Don't you dare touch her. The other guy was furious. I did exactly what I said, and planted a loud kiss directly on Lily's forehead, even thoughtfully bringing the phone closer so the sound could clearly travel through the receiver. Lily's face flushed red from the kiss, her lashes trembling, and her eyes full of panic. The other side was silent for 2 seconds before an even more miserable roar exploded. Ethan Walker, you dare steal my goddess if you've got guts. Come down and fight me in real life. I did not back down and half-jokingly snapped back, do you want me to start a live stream for you too? Lily opened her mouth, her mind a complete mess, the shyness and confusion in her eyes mixing into a blur of light and shadow. She saw that I was still holding the phone, yet the other end had become strangely quiet. So she asked softly, is he not talking anymore? A fatal blow. The boy on the other end was completely petrified. The goddess he had liked for over a year had been openly captured by me in this way. He still remembered that his goddess's voice was always cool and distant, but now she was soft and sweet like a spoiled little girl. The call was hung up, and the boy hugged his pillow, curled up in his dorm, sobbing quietly over the heartbreak of his unrequited love ending without a result. I put away my phone and raised my brows proudly. Lily awkwardly explained, phone calls are expensive if there's no sound. You should hang up. She nodded as if comforting herself. As though that could justify her action, I lightly tapped her forehead, right where I had just kissed her. She immediately turned her head away shyly, her voice growing softer. Let's go back to the apartment first. I took her hand. I have to work tomorrow, so I need to prepare some things. The little e-bike carried us back in a rush along the way. My phone kept vibrating, with unfamiliar numbers all telling me to break up. I squeezed Lily's hand and, for the first time, experienced the side effect of dating a campus belle. Everyone supervises you. Look, so many people are telling me to break up. What should I do? I deliberately dragged out my tone. Lily gave a soft HMPH. They're telling you to break up with Autumn, not telling me to dump you. Oh right. I suddenly remembered, didn't you add Autumn Lane on WeChat just now? What did she post on Moments? Lily took out her phone and opened Autumn Lane's Moments. The pinned post was a photo of her and me. The caption read, mountains and rivers are far. The warmth of the world is you. All of it is you under. It was also a self-evaluation report. I found a boyfriend. His name is Ethan Walker. The corner of my mouth twitched. Now I understood what Autumn Lane meant by borrowing my boyfriend's status. I immediately called her and questioned Autumn Lane. What is that post on your Moments? Didn't we agree to explain things clearly? Now look, I've become the male lead of the gossip you created. Does a boy's innocence not matter? Is Lily there? Autumn Lane's voice came through the phone, still carrying that faint sense of distance. Autumn, I'm here. Lily propped one hand on my leg and leaned her head close to the phone. Why did you say Ethan Walker is your boyfriend? Ethan Walker will definitely take you around the university town often in the future. It's better to just admit it directly, so people won't keep misunderstanding and explaining over and over is too tiring. Lily's face flushed with another layer of red, and she looked up at me, carefully asking, will you still take me out to have fun in the future? My eyes dodged a little, But I still nodded solemnly. I'll take you around tomorrow and the day after. Autumn Lane laughed on the other end of the phone. This way, I won't have people asking me questions all the time. The world is finally quiet. I was speechless to find that only other people's world had become quiet, while all the harassing calls had been transferred to me. Lily, little sister, can I keep the moments post? If you're unhappy, I'll delete it. Autumn Lane asked for her opinion. Lily thought of the scene where I had kissed her forehead just now and could not help smiling foolishly. It's fine. As soon as she finished speaking, I suddenly pinched her cheek. She puffed out her cheeks in dissatisfaction and stared at me. I cut in with a dark expression. So you two just hit it off like that? And threw me aside. I'm clearly the injured one here. Okay, you're not important. Autumn Lane replied lightly with the title of my boyfriend. Just enjoy it in secret. I directly tossed the phone to the two girls to chat and went to handle serious business myself. I stared at the computer screen. The campus recruitment poster design plan still would not settle after discussing with Senior Graham in the afternoon. I knew doing it myself was the only way to avoid too much company involvement. After all, the competitor had already signed an exclusive agreement. Setting up a booth openly would be like publicly stealing territory. While browsing through the template library, I suddenly thought of that carrier's identical red background posters. As I unconsciously tapped on the keyboard, inspiration suddenly struck. Why not do the opposite? A minimalist white background paired with eye-catching data comparison charts, focusing on highlighting our price advantage. Lily chatted with Autumn Lane for a long time and only hung up when she still had not had enough. She sat cross-legged beside me, leaning against my shoulder, and asked curiously, what are you busy with? The freshman report in tomorrow. I'm working part-time helping people sign up for campus cards, so I'm trying to make a special poster to attract customers from the other carriers. Lily tilted her head and looked carefully at the screen. Aren't these posters all pretty nice? Can't you use them? They can be used, technically, but none of them are memorable. I glanced at the time. Let's eat dinner early. Should we order takeout? Or do you want something else? Lily opened the food delivery app and looked at meals that cost dozens of dollars each, and started worrying inwardly. A meal for two would cost $40 or $50. She felt reluctant to spend that much. She had no job and no income right now, and was even burdening me into doing part-time work to support us. The more she thought about it, the more guilty she felt. After browsing takeout for a long time, her eyes turned, and she glanced toward the small loft kitchen, tentatively asking, why don't I cook for you? Hearing that, my eyes lit up. I closed the computer and held her hand. You can cook too. Just simple home cooking, Lily said proudly. I used to cook for my mom at home. Then let's go buy groceries with me. I pulled her up. Lily's eyes shone brightly, and her face overflowed with a small, quiet joy. She had not expected that she could buy groceries and cook with the person she liked. She felt this life was as sweet as if she had stolen it from fate. She shook her head and glanced at the computer on the desk, then seriously advised, you won't come up with any new ideas sitting in front of the computer all day. Come outside with me for a walk. Maybe your brain will suddenly light up. Hurry, hurry, if we're late, we'll miss dinner time. I smiled and placed both hands on her shoulders, pushing her out of the apartment like a train. The evening breeze blew as Lily leaned on my back, tightly hugging my waist. Ever since she had been driven out by her mother yesterday, she had originally given up on herself, planning to just muddle through the year. But unexpectedly, I had not only noticed her embarrassment, but also thought of her at every turn. The bit of love in her heart quietly overflowed, impossible to contain. The two of us soon arrived at the supermarket. Lily held my arm tightly. This place was in the university town's commercial district, surrounded by restaurants, leisure spots, and entertainment venues of all kinds. During school opening season, college students gathered in groups of 3 or 5 for meals, especially the couples who had been separated too long over summer break and wished they could stick to each other completely. The air was practically overflowing with youth. I looked at Lily hiding behind me, and felt secretly delighted. Whose girlfriend could be as pretty as mine? I immediately felt my back straighten quite a bit. Lily, look at those couples going to restaurants for a nice meal, yet here we are buying groceries at the supermarket. Lily lowered her head after hearing that, feeling a little guilty inside. Even treating her boyfriend to one meal required her to weigh the expense. She was afraid I might feel disappointed. But I grinned. This is what living together is about. Just like an old married couple. Lily blinked. Her cheeks instantly dyed red like burning sunset clouds. Thinking of the words old married couple, she could not help smiling sweetly. After entering the supermarket, I pushed the cart and let her decide everything. Before school started, the original owner had already prepared all the kitchenware and seasonings. After all, rent took up the biggest chunk of his prospects, so meals naturally had to be carefully budgeted. Lily first took me to buy 10 pounds of rice, spending $20, then weighed 12 eggs for $8, pork belly, tomatoes, and also picked 6 shrimp along the way. Vegetables, meat, and seafood were all complete. Watching Lily hold a head of cabbage in one hand and compare it left and right, I leaned against the shopping cart, my heart almost melting. I had never had any grand ambitions. My ideal life was nothing more than this: buying groceries and cooking with the person I loved after work, then falling asleep together at night. Ordinary yet warm Lily was practically the ideal partner in my heart. What are you thinking about? Lily placed the cabbage into the cart and asked cautiously, I'm thinking about how you can be this cute. I said with a smile, let's go buy some snacks too, we can watch a movie together later. Lily originally wanted to refuse, but when she heard we would watch a movie together, 2 red clouds flew onto her face, and her voice softened too. Then let's just buy a little. The supermarket lights gently fell across the dazzling shelves as I slowly pushed the cart through the snack aisle. My fingertips lightly squeezed Lily's hand, and my voice carried a smile. Is there anything you want to eat? Lily's gaze landed on a bag of chips. Her finger had only just touched the package when the little calculator in her mind began clacking wildly. 40 grams of chips for $2.90 converted to £1. That was $36. But potatoes were only $2 a pound. And beef was only $32 a pound. Ethan, she smiled awkwardly and reluctantly moved her hand away from the chips. Why don't we buy some beef instead? Let's forget the snacks, I laughed, and directly picked up that bag of chips, tossing it into the cart, then rubbed the top of her head with a pampering tone. Thinking too much makes it easy to be unhappy. Lily gloomily hugged my arm, her cheeks puffing slightly. Making money is so hard. When she worked more than 10 hours a day, she only earned a little over $100 on average. 1 hour could only buy 4 or 5 bags of chips. Looking at her sulky expression, the corner of my lips lifted slightly, and a gentle smile spread through my eyes. I held her hand and picked through the shelves with her, specifically choosing snacks girls liked. After all, we would share them together in the end. When we reached the drink section, I did not hesitate to pick up a box of 12 mini cans of Coke. The most expensive part of happy water is the stimulation of the first sip. I shook the small aluminum can and explained 200 milliliters is just right, and it has to be in an aluminum can. Plastic bottles don't have that ice cold, refreshing feeling. Lily blinked and tugged at the hem of my shirt, pointing to the large 2-liter bottle on the lower shelf. That one is more cost effective. The volume is almost the same, but the price is only half. Large bottles lose their fizz after one drink, and the taste gets weaker. I shook my head. Lily puffed up her cheeks and muttered softly, I'm the one about to lose my fizz now. We agreed to live together, but this person doesn't know how to budget at all. Hearing her small complaint, I burst out laughing and suddenly leaned close to her ear, my warm breath brushing over it. If you lose your fizz, I'll give you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Lily's ear tips burned, and she hurriedly turned her face away, though her fingers secretly hooked onto the hem of my shirt and gently tugged at. Keep dreaming. We continued strolling along the drink aisle. My gaze swept over the shelves and suddenly stopped on a coconut drink. I picked up the bottle and examined it. A blue package, a coconut tree pattern, and a coconut with a straw drawn underneath. So this coconut juice only comes in this kind of packaging. I looked around, lowered my voice, and struck an exaggerated pose. There isn't the kind people grew up drinking. Lily's face instantly turned red. She hurriedly looked left and right, and only relaxed after confirming no one was around. And no, this is the most common one around here. Maybe other cities are different. My eyes lit up. Other brands might have regional differences, but that coconut juice ad was too iconic. If this world had it, there was no way Lily would not know. Inspiration came to me. I know how the poster should be designed. After we finished shopping, the two of us pushed the fully loaded shopping cart toward the checkout. Hello, do you need a shopping bag? The cashier asked with a smile. I was just about to speak when Lily had already pulled a wrinkled plastic bag from her pocket. Number. Thank you. She looked up and stole a glance at me. Seeing the surprise in my eyes, she immediately lowered her head, her cheeks faintly heating, her voice as soft as a mosquito. We're going to live together, right? So we have to budget carefully. Exactly, we have to budget carefully. I grinned and helped her pack everything into the plastic bag. The scanner beeped repeatedly as the total on the screen kept jumping. $186 in total. How would you like to pay? Lily took out 2 wrinkled $100 bills and solemnly handed them to the cashier. I'll pay. I rubbed her head and teased, oh, am I being kept by a little rich lady now? Lily bit her lip and lightly punched me with her small fist. I'm not helping you carry anything anymore. You can just hold my hand. I smiled, hoisted the rice bag, and lifted the shopping bags. Let's go home. When we got back to the loft, I changed into slippers and was about to sort everything into the fridge, but Lily had already put on a pale pink apron and gently pushed me toward the living room. I'll clean up here. Don't you still have a poster to make? Seeing her in an apron somehow gave me the illusion of being a newlywed couple. My Adam's apple rolled unconsciously, and I suddenly felt my mouth go dry sensing my gaze. Lily's ears heated up. She lowered her head and fiddled with the apron ties, her voice soft and delicate. If I don't start cooking now, we'll miss dinner time. It was clearly something I had agreed to, yet at this moment, my heart inexplicably grew restless. I chuckled and rubbed the top of her head, my tone gentle. Then I'll look forward to your dinner. The poster is on me. Call me anytime if you need anything. Lily clenched her little fist, her eyes shining. Ethan Walker, you can do it. Sitting in front of the computer, I recalled the classic coconut juice packaging from my previous life and in Photoshop pulled out a few brightly colored rectangles. The flyer I had gotten from Senior Graham became my reference template. Soon, a simple and eye-catching poster was born. Monthly fee, $29. 220 gigabytes of general data. 80 minutes of call. Time 3 bolded headings leaped onto the screen. I leaned back in my chair in satisfaction and could not help sighing. I really am an ordinary little genius. Lily, come admire my masterpiece. I raised my voice in the living room and mysteriously turned the laptop screen toward the kitchen amid the rising cooking smoke. Lily was stir-frying tomatoes and eggs with one hand. While looking up at the screen, the dazzling color blocks and huge numbers looked almost like an early childhood toy, and aesthetics had absolutely nothing to do with it. She nearly threw the spatula over like a remote control, but still forced out through gritted teeth. It's pretty good. Maybe you could take another look at other people's designs, she carefully added. The last cut, the corner of my mouth lifted, and I said with a half smile, since you said it looks good, why would I learn from anyone else? Lily wanted to crawl into a hole. Actually, for tomorrow's promotional poster, as long as I liked it. The embarrassing one would not be her. Lily, I'm afraid I won't be able to handle everything alone tomorrow. You have to come help me. I blinked. You can hold this poster. You'll be a perfect poster girl. Lily's hand shook, and the spatula nearly flew out with a clang. She glanced at the poster on the table. If she had to hold up that work of art tomorrow, wouldn't she become the center of attention? She pouted and brought the last dish to the table, protesting pitifully. Can we change it to another one? Making the key points clear at a glance is the real king, I said seriously. And suddenly tested her. How much is the plan? How much data? How much call time? Do you remember? That ugly to the point of being memorable poster instantly surfaced in Lily's mind. As if her brain had been struck by a blunt club, she stiffened her neck and stubbornly said, I really don't remember. I changed my approach. Sell 1 card and earn 100, sell 200 cards and each one earns 200, sell 300 and there's also a 5,000 bonus. Lily's eyes immediately lit up, and that poster suddenly looked much more pleasant to her. She had also seen the other carrier's poster earlier that afternoon, but had already forgotten all its contents. This hideously ugly one, on the other hand, left a deep impression. Time to eat. Little money. Grubber. I rubbed her head. We still have to print the poster later. I'll serve the rice. Lily bounced up and dashed toward the rice cooker on the table with 3 dishes and 1 soup: cabbage, pork belly, tomato, scrambled eggs, and a bowl of fresh shrimp soup. The fragrance of rice and food blended into a warm, lived-in aroma. I took the bowl and tasted the cabbage. It was crisp, tender, and refreshing. I nodded repeatedly. Incredible. I was basically a recipe-based cook without a recipe. I was lost. Lily's cooking was simple home food, but it had a gentle magic to it. She secretly observed me, and seeing me eat with such delight, could not help taking a bite herself. It was clearly an ordinary taste, yet eating it with me somehow made it feel especially delicious. I held her hand and gently kissed her paper cup, while pretending to complain. It's all your fault. You're going to feed me into a ball. Lily looked at the empty plates and smiled. We didn't eat much cabbage today. I'll make more next time. What about the remaining pork belly and tomatoes? Lily asked. Do you want more? I patted my stomach. I can't eat another bite. When it came time to clean up, the two of us argued again. I'll do it. I'm used to cleaning up at home. Lily said. No way you cook. I wash the dishes. That's called dividing the work and cooperating. Our little home has to be protected together, I insisted decisively. I carried the bowls to the kitchen sink. Lily followed behind me and, while I was not paying attention, stood on tiptoe, kissed the side of my face, and softly called Big Brother. My whole body shuddered, and the plate in my hand nearly slipped, making a crisp sound. Lily hurriedly came closer and complained. Why are your hands so clumsy? Are you trying to break the dishes? I grinned foolishly and gently bumped her with my hip. What did you call me just now? Lily. Lily buried her head against her chest, smoke practically rising from the top of her head. Nothing stopped making things up. She took the washed bowl and placed it on the drying rack, then said seriously, this is our little home, and I have to contribute too. After saying that, she realized I was staring at her until she burned up, so she hurriedly lowered her head and added, I only kissed you once. It's normal, a girlfriend kissing her boyfriend. I turned and kissed her cheek too. Right. A boyfriend kissing his girlfriend is normal too. Lily, can you call me that again? I held a cream puff and gently pressed it against Lily's lips, my tone full of playfulness and expectation. I was too focused on washing the dishes just now and didn't hear it clearly. The sweet cake aroma swirled at the tip of her nose. Lily glared at me, but still bit into the cream puff. The soft cake and light cream melted in her mouth, bringing the surprise and shyness of eating a cream puff for the first time. Her cheeks puffed out as she mumbled unclearly, Call what? You're so annoying. Don't we still have to print the poster? It's already dark. She forced the topic back to serious matters, though the blush on her face had not faded. I pretended not to care and tossed the whole small bag of cream puffs to her. Fine. Don't call me that. If you eat too much, you'll become a little round bead. Lily huffed, picked up a cream puff, and held it to my mouth. Then you don't get to escape either. Let's get fat together. After that little dessert incident, the two of us walked side by side to the nearby print shop and color printed the promotional poster for tomorrow. The poster in our hands had piercing colors and content that was simple and crude, but both of us carried a small sense of anticipation. Would this wildly confident poster attract a crowd of curious freshmen tomorrow? When we got home, it was only a little past 7, and night had just fallen. The room was filled with the smell of cream and printing paper. I opened the computer and imported the phone call I had recorded into it to edit the footage in the video. The carrier manager had an arrogant face and a cold attitude, his words filled with contempt for college students and calculating schemes. Didn't he say the commission was 1 or 200 per card? How did it become 30 and 50? Lily stood beside me, her brows furrowing into a little hill. That guy keeps the biggest cut for himself and only leaves us scraps, I explained while working. Tomorrow, we have to fight for our pride and pull all those customers over. We're not playing with that shady boss. Lily had originally still been gloomy about having to hold up the ugly poster tomorrow. But after hearing me say that, her fighting spirit instantly surged, light flashing in her eyes. Don't worry, I'll definitely hold the poster. While I pretended to be serious and flicked her forehead. Who said the poster is ugly? It clearly has tons of personality. I looked Lily over, secretly wondering whether I should buy her a few new clothes so she could help set the mood tomorrow. But after thinking about it, if Lily dressed simply, it might actually win more sympathy and trust from the freshmen. Was I selling pity or beauty? I was amused by this balance, and in the end, decided to respect her dignity after I finish editing the audio. I'll take you to buy new clothes. I rubbed her head, my tone gentle. Lily froze, then lifted her head like a small animal, her eyes full of surprise and hesitation. She had not bought new clothes in years. Then how should you address me? I smiled wickedly, lightly tapping her forehead with my fingertip. Lily bit her lip, her cheeks gradually coloring with shyness. In the end, she still hummed in a tiny voice, I won't call you big brother. Her voice floated out softly, and after saying it, she immediately turned her face away like a bristling kitten. You little trickster. I could not help rubbing her face. The two of us laughed and made a mess together. Once I find a suitable BGM for the recording, we'll go out. I flipped through the editing software and found that the music library was either too sad or too empty, always missing that resilient feeling of real life. Suddenly, inspiration flashed, so I simply picked up the guitar and decided to write a song myself. A few guitar notes came from the second floor, and Lily's eyes instantly lit up. You can play guitar too? I learned over summer break. Surprising. Right, you found yourself a treasure. I blinked confidently. Lily's face turned slightly red, but she refused to admit defeat and muttered, show off, only show-offs get wives. I teased while plucking the strings. Lily tightly gripped her knees with both hands, lowering her head and not daring to look at me. Her ears were as red as ripe cherries. Why, you're saying nonsense again. A great man once said that any relationship not aiming for marriage is just playing around. I leaned closer sideways, half joking, half serious. Are you planning to play around with me? Then I'll have to play around tonight too. I smiled wickedly. Lily suddenly fell silent, her emotions seeming to be caught by the night. She lowered her head and stared at the floor, a strange worry rising in her heart. Could her body really have a future with me? Noticing her loneliness, I quickly restrained my teasing and scratched my head apologetically. I went too far with the joke just now, sorry. Lily, she shook her head and pointed at the guitar. Play a song for me. Okay, once I get the BGM ready, I'll sing it to you before bed tonight. I nodded, turned on the recording function on my phone, and lightly plucked the strings. A clear melody flowed out. Lily leaned against the doorway and listened quietly under the warm yellow light of the room. Even the air seemed to be softened by the song. As soon as the song ended, I picked up my phone, opened the recording playback, and listened seriously to the masterpiece I had just created. My voice was actually not bad, but when I sang, my emotions surged too strongly, as if I had stuffed every thought in my heart into the lyrics. I sang a little too forcefully, and any technique was purely instinct. Lily listened until her hands turned red from clapping. She could not help asking, hey, what song was that? Why do I feel like I've never heard it before? It's original. I raised my brows, my eyes showing a bit of smugness. I quickly embedded this audio clip into the video, lowered the volume to use it as background music, and carefully polished the details. Then, with a satisfied expression, I uploaded the work to the quick sound platform, afraid the work would sync without a trace. I even specifically spent $100 on promotion, targeting the users located in the area within a 20-kilometer radius. After getting all that done, I clapped my hands and jerked my chin toward the door. Let's go. Hurry, hurry, stop dragging your feet. I looked so spirited, like a kid who had just won a game. Seeing that, Lily could not help laughing too. Let's go. Stop rushing me. The two of us went downstairs together. When we reached the neighborhood gate, I pretended to be a gentleman and held out my hand. Shopping needs a boyfriend's hand to feel ceremonial. Lily blushed and held my hand tightly, giving me a sweet smile. The two of us walked out of the alley and stepped onto the wide, bright street. This place was close to the university town, lined with shops and young people constantly passing by. As we walked toward the women's clothing store, I silently calculated today's financial plan. I had just spent $100 promoting the video and $30 topping up Lily's phone, plus the cost of meals and poster printing, which meant I still had a little over $1,300 left in my pocket. If both of us ate out, $600 would be enough for a month. Then after setting aside $300 for utilities, I would only have $400 left to spend freely. Fortunately, autumn had not arrived yet, and summer clothes were affordable. $400 should be enough to buy one new outfit. Thinking of that, I suddenly took out my phone and opened the chat with Vivian. Seeing that the file still had not been accepted, I sent another message, reminding her that she had to look at it tonight no matter what. Vivian had used love as an excuse to cheat the original owner out of money. This debt could not just be ignored. These 2 days of freshman registration would be just right for letting her recognize reality. Ethan Walker was no longer that foolish simp as for the later back and forth. That could be handled slowly right now. Promoting the campus cards was the true urgent priority. Lily held my hand and habitually turned halfway to hide behind me like a cautious little animal whenever there were pretty clothes in a display window. She would gently tug my arm, and I would stop and take her into the clothing store. She really enjoyed the feeling of being taken care of for someone with a little social anxiety like her. Mustering the courage to go home with me yesterday had already been the biggest breakthrough of her life. As soon as we entered the shop, the owner, a kind middle-aged woman, immediately came over. Come take a look. What kind of clothes do you want to buy? I squeezed Lily's hand. Pick whichever one you like, don't be shy. Lily turned her head and looked around at the clothes in the store, feeling that every piece was so pretty she could not look away. Oh my, this girl is really lovely. The owner took a new outfit from the rack and handed it to Lily. This just arrived this year, it's selling very well. Lily took the clothes and lowered her head to look at the tag. The recommended retail price was $120, and she immediately shook her head and handed the clothes back. The owner saw through her thoughts and smiled comfortingly. It just so happens to be the changing season, so all these clothes are discounted. The price is about the same as a meal for you two. Try it on first and let your boyfriend see how it looks. It will definitely suit you. Lily's cheeks flushed lightly, and she sent me a pleading look. If she tried it on and did not buy it, it would be so awkward. I patted her arm and smiled at the owner. Mom, be honest and tell us the price first, so we won't trouble you if we try it and don't buy it. The owner smiled awkwardly. 20% off, $90. Okay. I took the clothes, pretended to feel the fabric, checked the collar, flipped through the label, and even weighed it twice, like I was picking melons at a farmer's market. Then I bargained seriously. I'll offer $60 if that works. We'll take it. Actually, I did not understand any of it. I was just copying the look of someone bargaining to keep up appearances. I knew very well that clothes like this might only cost $40 online, but if they were sold in a store, the owner had to earn something. Seeing that I was ready to leave, the owner could only nod helplessly. Fine, since you like it, I'll sell it cheaper to you. Lily did not hurry to try the clothes. After getting them instead, she picked out a pair of loose light blue jeans and handed them to me. Her eyes full of expectation. I helplessly flicked her forehead. I had not expected that a grown guy would become the main force in bargaining. In the end, the jeans were settled at $80. While Lily was trying on clothes, I spotted a little skirt and casually joked, "Boss, this skirt uses even less fabric. Can I take it for $60?" The owner immediately laughed and countered, "Since you've bought so much, if you like it, this one is $82. I instantly withdrew my hand and turned to stare at the changing room. I actually did not absolutely have to buy the skirt. I was just wondering if Lily always wore pants because she had some injury on her legs. Of course, it definitely was not because I wanted to see her legs. The owner curled her lip, thinking that doing business with boys really was not easy. Not giving up, she added, "This skirt really can't be sold for $60. I shrugged indifferently. "Sell it or don't. Up to you." The owner used her killer move again. "How about I add 2 pairs of stockings? They'll go perfectly with the skirt. Your girlfriend is so pretty, she'll definitely look good in a skirt." The corner of my mouth twitched as I thought who would impulsively spend money just for 2 pairs of stockings. But after calculating it, 1 pair of stockings was $10, 2 pairs were $20, which meant the skirt was equivalent to $60. Exactly my target price. My eyes dodged a little, and my face flushed faintly as I pretended to say firmly, "Then wrap them all up." Lily lightly touched the ends of her hair, tilting her head slightly while avoiding my eyes, her voice carrying unconcealable shyness. "Ethan, does it look good?" The fitted white t-shirt outlined her curves, and under the blue plaid skirt, her 2 long, slender legs were especially eye-catching. The only pity was that the complimentary stockings were still in the bag, so I had no chance to verify how they looked. My gaze seemed to carry heat as it landed on her, immediately making Lily's cheeks burn. She quickly slipped back into the changing room and changed back into the familiar loose jeans. In no time I curled my lip and reached out to gently pinch her cheek. "Why did you change back into pants again? Don't tell me you're afraid I'll secretly look at your legs." Lily shrank her neck, so embarrassed that her ears turned red, and defended herself in a low voice. "I haven't worn a skirt in a long time. It feels strange and breezy." She tugged at the seam of her pants with 2 fingers, silently complaining in her heart, "This guy really is something. Why does he keep staring at my legs? He really is a little pervert." After buying the clothes, I held Lily's hand and leisurely walked toward the shoe store on the street corner. This shoe store was a locally well-known chain brand, taking up 3 whole storefronts since school opening season had not fully started. The street was quiet and there were few customers inside. As soon as we entered, 2 sales assistants in matching uniforms came over. "Welcome. Do you need help choosing something?" Help her pick out a pair of sneakers. "Budget under $200. I spoke directly. There was not much room to bargain in a big brand store, so I simply stated my limit to avoid wasting everyone's time. "Of course. This way please." One sales assistant professionally led Lily toward the shoe wall. "These are all styles under $200. You can try on whichever pair you like." "Okay." The other assistant asked me to rest on the side and even poured me a cup of warm water. "You can sit for a while. Classmate, we've also recently released some new autumn men's Shoes with promotional discounts, would you like to take a look? Number. Thank you. I smiled and shook my head, refusing the sales pitch board. I looked around and saw that something like a small workplace initiation seemed to be happening near the counter. An older woman with a strong presence, probably the store manager, was earnestly lecturing a young man and woman beside her. For the next 2 months, you two will rotate through this store. If you hit 30,000 in sales, you can return to headquarters early. Our base salary here is 2,800 plus 200 attendance bonus with commission. 7 or 8,000 is no problem. 30,000 in sales is actually very easy. You're not students anymore, you have to learn to change your mindset. Looking at the two newly graduated interns, I thought of how the original owner and I had both chosen humanities-leaning majors back when I graduated. Society was shifting from wild growth to high-quality development, and liberal arts students became the first batch to suffer. Industries stopped expanding. Positions became fewer and more competitive. And after struggling to the end, what we got was a salary far lower than before. The store manager kept nagging. To be honest, I really don't like training college students who can't even read a wash label. After studying for so many years. What exactly did you learn? I graduated from middle school and still became a store manager. Wouldn't it have been better to come out and make your way earlier? As I listened, a complicated feeling rose in my heart. The store manager's confidence, the intern's confusion, and my own past all intertwined in the air at that moment. With a light thud, Lily hopped in front of me and interrupted my thoughts. Ethan. I picked my shoes. She lightly lifted her pant leg, revealing 2 fair, tender ankles. My gaze landed entirely on her ankles, and I did not look at the style of the shoes at all. Lily angrily dropped her pant leg and hid her ankles. I could not help laughing and rubbed her hair, then turned to ask the sales assistant, how much is this pair? The original price is $218. And with the back-to-school 20% discount, it's $170. The sales assistant swiftly packed Lily's old shoes into a bag and handed them over together. I took the shoes to the register. The store manager behind the counter pointed at the intern. Girl beside her, you handle it. Get familiar with the checkout process. The girl stood in front of the cash register, a little flustered, her eyes darting between Lily's shoes and the screen. Sweat even appeared on her forehead. I'm sorry. I'm new here and not very familiar with it yet. She apologized repeatedly. I crouched down, peeled the barcode off Lily's new shoes, and handed it to her. Just scan this. Right. Thank you. The girl was relieved and quickly scanned it, entered the discounted amount, and finally completed her first sale. I glanced at the store manager beside her. Her expression did not look good, so I guessed that after we left, this girl would inevitably be scolded. I looked out the window, took Lily's hand, and suddenly said softly, actually, the meaning of studying is to make us understand that the world has more than the sixpence beneath our feet. There is also our own moonlight. After saying that, I took Lily and disappeared into the gentle night on the street. We had barely left when the store manager behind the counter leaned toward the intern. Girl, her tone full of anxiety. How many times did I teach you today? You still don't know how to use the register. You can't even tell the products apart if something goes missing during warehouse inventory later. What will you do? Watch carefully, I'll teach you again. The girl lowered her head and listened, but her thoughts had already drifted far away through the bright glass window. She saw the white moon in the night sky, as if it were telling her about dreams and distant places that belonged to her. Lily leaned against my shoulder, her eyes full of curiosity, and her soft, sweet voice drifted into my ear. Ethan, what did you mean by sixpence and moonlight just now under the night sky? The gentle wind messed up the loose strands of hair on my forehead. Lily's voice echoed in my mind like clear spring water. I slowly explained. Sixpence is British money. It represents the busy, trivial days we chase after. Then what about moonlight? I deliberately kept her in suspense as Lily leaned closer, in confusion, and suddenly braked. Caught off guard, Lily blushed from the bump and bit her lip, muttering softly, annoying. Her soft chest pressed against my back, and the smile at the corner of my mouth could not be held back at all. Being scolded as a pervert only made me even more smug. Just as I was about to start the bike again, I suddenly spotted a flower shop by the road and my eyes lit up. Wait for me, I quickly calculated in my heart. 60 for the top, 160 for the pants and skirt, 170 for the shoes, leaving exactly $10. So I went into the flower shop, bought a small bouquet of daisies, and handed it to Lily. Lily took the flowers blankly and did not react for a long time. It was the first time in her life she had ever received flowers. She hid half her face behind the bouquet, leaving only a pair of shining eyes looking at me. Her gaze was full of surprise and shyness. The faint floral scent lingered at the tip of her nose, and her heart raced as if it were about to leap out of her chest, as though all that fluttering emotion would turn into sweetness in the air. Ethan, she bit her lip and called my name softly. I rubbed the top of her head fondly, returned to the bike, and let the night breeze carry away the stray thoughts in my mind. The owner just told me the meaning of daisies is everlasting happiness. I hope we can always stay happy like this. Lily lowered her head and looked at the little daisies in her hand, their pale yellow centers and white petals, and all of a sudden, she seemed to understand what moonlight meant. She hugged me tightly, resting her head on my shoulder, and softly said, you are my moonlight. Hearing you say that makes me feel like a villain in a novel. Who transmigrated into the heroine's moonlight, I teased, and tapped her helmet with my finger. Tell me, do you also have a childhood friend who has secretly loved you since childhood but never managed to win you over? Lily rolled her eyes and gave a HMPH, give me your phone later, I'm uninstalling all those fancy novels. The two of us laughed and joked all the way back to the loft. Lily found a clear glass cup in the room. She carefully washed it clean and placed the daisies inside with water, setting them on the table. Then she propped her chin in both hands and stared at the flowers in a daze while I opened the computer and clicked into a Word document. Preparing to write some advice for the freshman. The scene with the intern at the shoe store had touched me deeply in my previous life. I was nothing more than a small-town test taker who studied desperately and finally got into college, becoming the pride of my family. But when it came time to choose a major, I knew nothing about the future, and no one in my family could guide me. The only advice was the usual set of teacher, doctor, or civil servant. After entering college, I still studied textbooks like I was preparing for the college entrance exam, but what I learned was disconnected from society. All my spare time went into making up for the fun I had missed in childhood. By graduation, the only chip I held was the identity of an ordinary college student. But by then, college students were no longer rare. The little pride of my family had become scraps on the edge of society. Employment was even worse than for those peers who had gone out to make their way early. It took me many years to slowly understand that life could not be won just by getting a good score. Lily leaned over and looked at the blank screen on my computer, asking curiously, what are you working on? I want to redo the promotional page. I casually took out Senior Graham's flyer. The original looks too much like the kind of roadside ad people hand out. Anyone can tell it's a sales pitch. That kind of flyer works for all passersby, like random grand opening discounts. But we're facing a specific group of freshmen, so using that kind of promotion would be a bit of a waste. Lily nodded, thinking of how she used to glance at flyers once and throw them away. Indeed, she would never want to read them carefully. College students are actually a group with no full-time jobs. Their living expenses arrive every month. They have plenty of time, and their desire to spend is strong. Lily looked curious, so I explained patiently. Simply put, they don't have to work. Their parents give them money, and now that no one is controlling them anymore, they are more willing to spend. The carriers only think about selling campus cards. But we're different. As long as there is a student group, we can do anything. The most important thing is to use this card promotion to turn these freshmen into our own private traffic. Later, we can sell clothes and shoes on moments, promote snacks and desserts, then sell graduate exam and civil service exam materials during graduation season. The business will be there. Lily had little stars shining in her eyes, as excited as if she had discovered a new continent. I pinched the tip of her nose and smiled. Little money grubber, you're tempted, aren't you? Although we won't make huge money, it will definitely be enough for dating expenses. Lily grinned, threw herself over, hugged my waist, and kissed my cheek. What can I help with? There really is something. I pointed at the little skirt and stock. Ings, we'd better open a new account and separate life from work. If we use your photo as the profile picture, it will definitely be easier for younger schoolmates to add you. The hot water flowed continuously from the showerhead, running down Lily's fair body. The steam filling the bathroom brought a rosy flush to her cheeks. Ethan Walker is a huge pervert. She bit her lip and muttered softly to herself. After wiping the water from her body, she changed into the new clothes and the little skirt that only reached the middle of her thighs. It was already fine like this. Looking at herself in the mirror, she protested, again in dissatisfaction. After briefly calming herself, she opened the black stockings I had forced into her hand and made her bring into the bathroom, then pulled them over her legs. The black stockings perfectly outlined Lily's straight, slender long legs, making her look both innocent and alluring. Her cheeks flushed red, and faint white steam seemed to keep rising from her head as she gave another cute little hum click. The bathroom door opened a small crack. Lily poked her little head out through the gap. Ethan, can I not wear them? Her tone carried a bit of pleading. I blinked, and my eyes flickered for a moment. Isn't that inappropriate? Alone, man and woman together. And you plan to come out there like that? I shook my head. No, wait, I'm already an adult now. I can look at such thrilling scenes. Lily froze, then put both hands on her waist and walked out of the bathroom in a huff. Ethan Walker, you huge pervert, what are you thinking? I laughed foolishly, looking at Lily in her new clothes and little skirt. In an instant, she had the youthful, sunny feeling of a girl her age. My gaze kept moving downward until I saw Lily's long legs wrapped in black stockings. With just one glance, I could no longer move my eyes away. The sheer black stockings carried a slightly cool elegance, and her faintly visible fair skin looked incredibly pure and delicate. Lily's cheeks grew hot as she walked over to the low table and sat beside me. She pretended to be angry and pointed at the computer screen. Is your advertising flyer done yet? If it gets any later, the print shop will close. Almost. I pulled the USB drive from the computer. Let me take a couple photos of you, then I'll go print it. Lily looked around, found an empty wall, and stood against it. Ethan Walker, take it. Seeing how tense Lily's body was, I could not help showing a faint smile. This looks way too much like an id photo. Won't you strike a pose? Lily thought for a moment and slightly turned her body, folding her hands before her chest, lifting her chin slightly and narrowing her eyes. Faintly giving off a proud air, I quickly captured Lily's adorable photo, then held my stomach and burst out laughing. Don't laugh. A trace of embarrassed red appeared on Lily's cheeks, and her expression grew even more flustered. I clearly saw that people's work photos are all like this. I raised my brows and wiped the tears that were about to burst from the corners of my eyes. What people? Bankers, insurance agents, real estate agents, or exam prep tutors? Lily shrank her neck, bit her lip, and her cheeks heated up even more. She puffed up her cheeks and lightly huffed in dissatisfaction. Then what kind of photo do you want? I thought for a moment, and saw the little flowers in the room. Suddenly, I remembered the scene from earlier when Lily looked at me through the flowers. I directed Lily to lie on the floor, spread out her hair, and use the flowers to cover half of Lily's face. Don't look at the camera, look to the side, okay? 3, 2. After taking the photo, I turned the phone screen toward Lily. Look, doesn't this have a more atmospheric feeling? Lily took the phone and nodded thoughtfully. Ethan Walker. But what does this have to do with whether I wear black stockings? I coughed twice. Why was Lily's focus so special? My eyes flickered for a moment, and my gaze moved toward the sofa in the room. It will matter right away. I had Lily sit on the sofa hugging her knees, with her right leg stretched forward and the tip of her foot hooking a slipper. Suspended in the air, I crouched on the floor near the tip of Lily's right foot and focused the camera on the slipper dangling in midair, looking at the image on the screen. It perfectly displayed Lily's long legs wrapped in black stockings, tugging especially hard at the heartstrings. Ethan Walker. Are you done yet? Lily asked, her cheeks bright red. Almost. Let's take one last photo, I said seriously. I lay down on the living room floor and pointed to the spot beside me. Take off your shoes. Stand beside me, then place your right foot lightly on my stomach. Your expression should be the colder and more disgusted, the better. Just hearing my description made the corner of Lily's mouth twitch, and she already showed a disgusted expression. Yes, exactly like that. I laughed. The heroine's expression is excellent, keep it. Lily stood up from the sofa, came to my side, and with her shoes off, the tip of her foot lightly rested on my stomach. A slight pressure came from my belly, and the smile on my face grew even more perverted. I quickly took out my phone and turned on burst mode. Lily frowned tightly, noticing that although the position of my phone camera had not changed, my head kept tilting toward the inner side of her leg. She stomped on my stomach hard, then pulled back her leg. Pressing both hands over the bottom of her skirt, she grabbed a throw pillow, hugged her knees, and sat on the sofa, revealing a pair of watery eyes from behind the pillow. As she stared at me in agitation, Ethan Walker. You huge pervert. You massive pervert. You actually. Before she could finish, faint white steam suddenly rose from her head. Huge pervert, big pervert. Hey, I stood up and rubbed my stomach, laughing awkwardly. Seeing that Lily did not seem truly angry, I pointed toward the door. It's getting late. I'll go print the stuff first. As soon as I finished speaking, I quickly took my USB drive and fled the scene. The apartment door opened and closed. Lily picked up the throw pillow and lightly tossed it toward the place I had left from bad Ethan Walker. He actually ran away. She picked the pillow back up, hugged it, and sat on the floor. In the quiet, empty room, the sound of her excited heartbeat was especially loud. I rode my e-bike around the streets and found a print shop that was still open. After discussing the style I wanted with the owner, the quote for 500 trifold advertising flyers was $700. I calculated that I only had a little over $900 left. This one hit had practically sliced straight into my main artery. If I then deducted the $300 reserved for water and electricity, I was now effectively short $100. But fortunately, Lily still had $200 left, which could be used for our shared living expenses. I had not expected that it was only the beginning of the month, and I was already worrying about how to spend money. How could two people survive until the end of the month on $100? Waiting online. Urgent. I shook my head. I had already made so many preparations. Tomorrow, I would definitely be able to sign up 80 or 100 campus cards with financial pressure added. I instantly felt my motivation max out. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. I picked it up and glanced at the screen. It was a voice call request from Vivian. I had not expected it to be the god of wealth, and just when I was most short on money, I quickly answered the call. As soon as the voice call connected, Vivian's questioning voice came crashing down on me. What exactly is wrong with you? Do you even still want to be my boyfriend? I specifically reminded you last night, yet you still didn't bring me breakfast. And what is going on between you and Autumn Lane? Isn't it just because I didn't agree to make our relationship public? Are you childish enough to actually make that new classmate Autumn Lane act with you? I blinked blankly. This was completely different from what I had imagined. Wait, shouldn't you be explaining the cheating to me? Where did you get the nerve to question me? Instead, Vivian snorted coldly. What do I have to explain? He is just my best friend, a male best friend. So what? Can't I have a male best friend? Can there not be pure friendship between men and women? I can't cut off all contact with the opposite sex just because I'm dating you. Right. Male best friend, I said sarcastically. The game credits I bought for you. You used them to gift skins to your male best friend. The snacks I bought for you. You gave them all to your male best friend. The little skirt I bought for you. You even let your male best friend try the feel of it first. What's next? Are you going to have a child with your male best friend to deepen your pure friendship? If you insist on thinking that way, then there's nothing I can do. Vivian's tone carried a little disappointment. My relationship with him is as pure as it gets. I knew him even earlier than I knew you. If there was really something between us, would it ever have been your turn? I was genuinely laughed into anger by Vivian's absurd logic. You call that my turn? Our relationship was never made public at all. And you were spending my money to support both you and your male best friend when looking for a sucker. Do you even need to be picky? Should I thank you too? Thank you for giving me the chance to be a sucker. Isn't it just that you want to go public? Vivian's heavy breathing came through the receiver, and her voice was full of anger. I've really had enough of you. Do you seriously not know how annoying you are? I told you. He's just an ordinary friend. Why do you have to overthink everything like this? Doubting me all day long. Aren't you tired? I'm tired of being doubted. I whistled, my tone contemptuous. That's simple. If this can even count as us dating, then including the 2 months of summer break, we've been together for about 5 months. My total spending was $5,000, which averages out to $1,000 a month. And that $5,000 doesn't even include what I spent while pursuing you. Of that, the part spent entirely on Vivian was about $3,000. I was originally planning to make Vivian cover all of it. After all, if it were just me, there's no way I would go to a restaurant that costs $100 or $200 per person. Normally, no matter how much I indulge myself. A $3 happy water, $30 of barbecue, League of Legends, and a stream to watch while eating are already top-tier enjoyment for me. As long as you treat me the same way every month, you can find as many male best friends as you want. Even if you roll into bed with them, I'll praise you for doing a great job. Hearing my words, Vivian felt I was utterly unreasonable and laughed from sheer anger. Are you kidding me? I never expected you to be this materialistic. Doesn't pursuing a girl require spending money? And you actually expect me to spend money on you? It's not like I absolutely need you as my boyfriend. What a coincidence. Neither do I. My voice suddenly turned cold. I don't want to care about you and your male best friend either. Before I could finish, a beep sounded by my ear. The call had been suddenly hung up by Vivian. I looked at my phone and let out a cold laugh. During their entire relationship, all the expenses had clearly been covered by the original owner, yet somehow he was the one being called materialistic. I suddenly remembered that the original owner had discovered Vivian's cheating partner through the couple relationship in Hero Glory. In my previous life, after work, I often played games with old friends. I was fairly decent, usually able to reach 100 stars every season, and I had even earned minor national rankings on quite a few heroes. I used to never believe that a girl would fall for a guy just because he was good at a game. I flipped through the evidence document. I had organized judging from the interactions between Vivian and the cheating guy. It seemed the two of them had met through the game. I opened Hero Glory, which the original owner had downloaded on his phone, and tapped into the friend rank leaderboard. To my shock, I discovered Vivian had already started a game 2 minutes ago. I had thought Vivian felt guilty and did not dare argue with me anymore. Turns out the game was about to start. I saw that Vivian was duo queuing with someone. They were playing casual mode, not ranked. Vivian was currently at king with 1 star, while the cheating guy duoing with her only had 30 stars. Judging from that guy's historical rank, he had once reached 50 stars. But the fact that the two of them were not playing ranked basically already proved that his actual skill was probably about that level. Curious, I scrolled down to see whether Lily played this game too. I suddenly discovered that Lily was not only playing Hero Glory, but her rank had already reached Diamond. Classmate, your flyers are printed. The owner came over to me. I took the printed flyers and checked them. The flyers used a trifold design, which could be closed, opened, and conveniently kept. The front of the flyer used a picture of the school administration building as the background, with a red gradient effect added, and the blank space listed 20 pieces of advice about college life. Most of them were written based on my own work experience after graduation, while a small part was collected from online opinions, with the more sensible points selected. The back of the flyer was a map of the North Campus where we were located, marking the name of every building, including some key offices inside, and the empty spaces also contained tips for the living area. The top few tips were about the series of procedures for freshman registration, including where parents could eat, and places around the school worth visiting a little. The remaining tips covered things like where to recharge meal cards and water cards, how to replace a library card, how to borrow books, where the nearby package pickup spots were, and so on. Of course, most importantly, I also attached the QR code of the contact account I had registered earlier to the flyer, making it look like I was a school-provided Q&A assistant for freshmen. There was not a single mention of campus card promotion anywhere on this flyer, but as long as the freshmen reporting in saw the flyer and believed I was an official school staff member, it would be much easier for me to promote campus cards later. After all, the packages carriers offered college students right now did not have any substantial difference. They were all similar products. So under this kind of competition, it depended on which side's sales tactics were more creative. After placing the 500 flyers on my e-bike, I rushed all the way back to the apartment. Seeing Lily watching the apartment TV out of boredom, I could not help bursting into a laugh and raised my brows. Why aren't you playing Hero Glory anymore? I didn't expect Lily to have two faces. Secretly playing games behind my back, but switching to a boring TV drama when I was about to come home. A shy flush instantly appeared on Lily's cheeks. She had not expected Ethan to catch her secretly playing games. She playfully stuck out her tongue and smiled. Because you were about to come back, I rubbed Lily's head and chuckled. Why do I feel like you're a grade schooler secretly playing games at home? Afraid your parents will find out. Lily puffed up her cheeks and huffed unhappily. Am I a grade schooler? Fine. Fine. I'm the grade schooler I needed. Lily's cheeks. Big sister Lily, don't go finding me another bro in the game. Okay. Another bro. Lily froze, then immediately understood and nodded. I won't. She hugged my arm and showed a neat row of small white teeth. Loyalty is also one of my tiny little virtues. Her burning gaze looked into my eyes as she said with complete seriousness, Ethan, I will always like you until the day my life ends. I scratched my head. Life is so long. Right now, we're only like the rising sun who can be sure what the future will look like. Seeing Lily look so certain, I subconsciously blurted out, then swear it. Lily rolled her eyes and let go of my arm, angrily turning her back on me. Ethan Walker is a bad guy who doesn't understand the mood at all. It wouldn't have hurt him to just go along with me. I laughed foolishly and gently hugged Lily from behind, then kissed her on the side of the face. Then I'll swear. Okay, I'll always like. Before I could finish, Lily turned around and lightly pushed me away, her tone carrying a hint of disdain. Who asked you to swear? Hurry up and shower. You stink. Tomorrow we have to get up early. She did not dare wish for too much. She only hoped that Ethan Walker could keep liking her for this 1 year. After she was gone, if Ethan Walker could occasionally think of her in the future, that would be even better. I had not expected Lily to actually dislike me. I curled my lip and messed up Lily's hair, then took a change of clothes from the closet and hummed a tune as I walked toward the bath room. After entering the bathroom, I casually tossed the clothes I had taken off into the laundry basket. I had not expected these past 2 nights to be so busy that I barely had time to do laundry. Tomorrow would mainly just be about promoting campus cards, and we should be done by 7 in the evening. At that time, I could shower earlier and wash 3 days worth of clothes together. I suddenly widened my eyes. Aside from the clothes Lily had just changed out of, there was nothing else in the laundry basket. The clothes I had taken off last night were actually gone. I abruptly stuck my head out of the bath room and asked in surprise, Lily, where are the clothes I changed out of yesterday? Lily turned her head away, a trace of embarrassment appearing on her cheeks. I already washed them clean and put them away. All washed, all washed. The corner of my mouth twitched unwillingly, and I asked again, was it by hand? By hand. Lily buried her head against her chest, her voice as faint as a mosquito. Stopped. The bathroom door was slammed shut. I was blushing so hard my face burned. I opened my mouth, suddenly not knowing what to say. Among the clothes I had changed out of was my ancestral pair of underwear. Some boys look bright and polished on the outside, but in reality, their underwear has already been worn for 5 or 6 years. If I had known those boxes were hand-washed by Lily, I would rather they had been stolen by some huge pervert. I ran under the shower and turned the water to the maximum, letting all the hot water fall, as if that could hide the embarrassment on my face. To be honest, I regretted it. I should have been more diligent yesterday and cleaned up. Lily sat on the sofa hugging her knees, her mouth slightly open and her watery eyes wide when she washed Ethan Walker's underwear this morning. She had also spent a long time mentally preparing herself. After all, she was borrowing a place to stay in Ethan Walker's loft, so doing some housework within her ability was only right. It would have been fine if Ethan Walker had simply known. But after he found out just now that she was the one who washed them, he even asked whether she had hand-washed them. She thought again of how earlier Ethan Walker had asked her to step on his stomach. Ethan Walker really was a total pervert. After a while, I finished washing up and sat on the sofa in the living room with a small distance between Lily and me. Lily had her back to me, her cheeks heating up again and again. Neither of us spoke. A strange atmosphere gradually spread between us in the spacious, silent room. The sound of our heartbeats echoed like roaring trains. The next morning, I woke up early. Lily, who was in my arms, was looking at me with a pair of watery eyes. I gently rubbed Lily's cheek. Why did you wake up so early? Did you not sleep well? I slept super well. Lily shook her head. Ethan, you should get up quickly too. After saying that, she pulled herself out of my arms and went straight down the stairs. I saw that Lily had already changed her clothes. She had probably woken up early, washed up, then crawled back into the blanket. Not long after, a sizzling sound came from downstairs, followed by the fragrance of fried eggs. I changed clothes and went downstairs, only to see Lily wearing an apron and busy at the stove. Lily took 2 slices of toast and placed inside the fried eggs, sliced tomatoes, and tender cabbage leaves, making 2 sandwiches. While I was washing up, she had also poured 2 cups of milk from the fridge and placed them in a pot to heat over water. By the time I came out of the wash room, a hearty breakfast had already been placed on the low table. Lily was also obediently sitting by the low table, waiting to eat breakfast with me. I sat beside Lily, picked up a sandwich, and took a bite. The tender fried egg sweet and sour tomatoes, and crisp cabbage leaves, were so delicious with just one bite that I nearly swallowed my tongue. Lily ate her sandwich in small bites, her eyes slightly narrowed, looking very happy somehow, her body gradually tilted, and leaned against my shoulder when she was with Ethan Walker. She seemed to especially love staying close to Ethan Walker. The first gently patted Lily's head. Next time you make breakfast, you don't have to wait for me to wake up. Lily shook her head, revealing a neat row of little white teeth. No, you need to sleep well so you can stay healthy. And maybe grow taller too. I let out a soft laugh, somehow feeling like Lily was treating me like a child after breakfast. We left the stove and dishes alone for now. We took the flyers and poster and headed to the living area early. The first batch of fresh men should be arriving soon. Lily turned her head to look at the poster beside us. Although she had stared at it all night and found it a bit more bearable, she still felt it was uniquely ugly. Her face fell, clearly unhappy. But when she thought that this was for making money, she gained a sense of bearing humiliation for a greater cause. Seeing Lily's complicated expression, a faint smile tugged at my lips. I leaned close to her ear and reminded her, we're already bankrupt now, almost insolvent. Last night, when she heard I had spent $700 printing flyers, and that our food budget for the month had only $100 left, Lily, who had originally been looking forward to me singing before bed, did not even want to talk to her wasteful boyfriend anymore. I'll hold the ugly poster properly, Lily promised with a firm gaze. What a little money grubber. I gently pinched Lily's nose. Besides holding the poster properly, you also have to guide the freshmen to scan the code and register for phone cards. I taught you the process last night. You should still remember it. Right? I remember everything. Lily nodded heavily. Registering one person means $100. Good, then let's pack up and head out, I said. We sped along the whole way, and soon arrived at the living area for the district where my dorm was located. We had come pretty early, and the seniors in the living area were still preparing things to welcome the freshmen who would be registering soon. I slowly rode the e-bike through the living area, thinking about where to place Lily best aside from being in front of me. Lily still had a little social anxiety. I thought I would go straight to the school gate to hand out flyers. My flyer contained a freshman registration guide, so standing at the entrance would make it easier for people to think I was official staff. As for Lily, she had to be placed near the tent area, otherwise she might easily be driven away by security. The e-bike slowly passed the economics major registration tent. Seeing a senior guy and girl tidying the table, my eyes instantly lit up. Boss, Senior Yvonne, are you two serving as freshmen advisors this year? I stopped the bike and greeted them with a smile. The boss I called was named Jason Carter, a senior in the college student union. When the original owner had first entered college, he had joined the student union, and back then, Jason happened to be his direct department head. A class advisor was a student assistant, usually served by junior year seniors at their school, mainly helping freshmen adapt to university life faster, and allowing them to ask about trivial life issues directly instead of troubling the counselor. Jason looked up at me and smiled. Ethan, aren't you guys off today? Why are you here so early? I took Lily's hand and gently pulled her forward. I just got a girlfriend, and now we can barely afford food, so I found a part-time job promoting campus cards. Lily bit her lip and gave a soft HMPH, muttering quietly, it's not like I'm the reason you can't afford food, you're the one spending recklessly. I burst out laughing, and gently rubbed Lily's head, then introduced them to each other. Jason saw Lily, and his eyes instantly widened. He hooked an arm around my neck. Ethan, not bad. He dragged me half a step away, looked back at Lily, and asked in a low voice, what about the Vivian from before you two fell out? I don't even know what was wrong with my brain back then. I scoffed. A humiliating treaty like that, even a traitor wouldn't dare sign. And somehow I held on for almost half a year. Good that you broke up. Good that you broke up. Jason nodded, then sighed lightly. Too bad the department head election is already over, otherwise maybe you could have become the head. But Lily is good too, although she looks a little shy. At least she's open and proper. Right, exactly. She's amazing. I grinned and force-fed Jason a mouthful of dog food. Not only is she pretty, her personality is super cute too. This morning, I even ate breakfast she made with her own hands. Okay, stop showing off. Jason rolled his eyes. Go show off to Yvonne. She has a boyfriend, so she isn't afraid of your dog food. I dragged Jason back to the tent and jerked my chin toward the opposite side. Boss, the campus card promotion booth has been contracted by the carrier across from us. The carrier I'm working part-time for is another one, so I can't set up a booth here. I was wondering if we could leave our stuff here first. Jason glanced at Yvonne, and seeing that she did not object, moved the table a little to make space for us. I went to Lily's side and messed up Lily's hair with a bad smile. All right, stop sitting, the freshmen should be here soon. Hurry up and show our sign. Lily looked left and right, and embarrassment instantly appeared on her cheeks as she shrank her neck and begged softly, Ethan, can I not hold it? Hello, seniors, is this where I register a freshman? Carrying luggage came to the registration point. Yes, it is. Jason stood up and said, classmate, please give me your admission notice and ID. While Jason was registering him, I handed the freshman a flyer. Classmate, This has the registration process and possible issues you may encounter in the living area. You can take a look. Seeing a new student come to register, the people from the opposite carrier walked over to the freshman's side and also handed him a flyer. Classmate, have you gotten a campus card yet? You can apply with us here. The monthly fee is only $30. With 200 gigabytes of nationwide data every month and 100 minutes of call time. The freshman glanced at the other party's flyer and placed it underneath mine. Not yet, I'll go apply after I finish registering here. The promoter turned around and made a victory sign toward his colleague. Then returned to the booth to prepare the campus card application for the freshman. I glanced at Lily and saw that she seemed to be blaming herself. I gently rubbed Lily's head, then turned to the freshman and said with a smile, "Classmate, we're also students doing this part-time. And we can also handle campus cards. Our plan is $29. With 200 gigabytes of general data and 80 minutes of call time. The plans are all basically similar. So you can consider getting your campus card from us too." After saying that, I patted Lily on the shoulder. Lily knew she could not hesitate anymore. She hugged the ugly poster I had designed and stood up, turning her head to look elsewhere, while recalling what I had taught her last night and saying softly, "We also handle campus cards. They can be used for dorm internet." Seeing Lily's shy look, the freshman's heartbeat sped up a little, and a strong protective urge quietly rose in him. Then, senior, I'll do it with you," he stammered. Lily instantly turned back and looked at the freshman in excitement, then bowed and said thank you. She took a stack of cards from her bag. "Take a look and choose which number you want. Then scan the QR code to apply." Seeing that the freshman had taken the campus card, I stayed for a while to see how Lily guided him through the registration process. When I saw Lily standing on tiptoe, trying to look at the freshman's phone screen to confirm which step he had reached, my face darkened, and I pulled Lily's arm to move her a little farther from the freshman. "Classmate, your registration process is complete. Here is your student card. Please keep it safe. Next, you can go to the dorm first and put down your things. Then buy the daily necessities you need. On Sunday night, we'll hold a simple freshman meet and greet. Remember to check the group notification when the time comes." Jason returned the ID, admission notice, and student card to the freshman. "Thank you, senior." The freshman waved the flyer in his hand. "I can just follow this process, right?" Jason looked at the flyer in the freshman's hand with confusion, then took one from me and checked it. The registration process written on it was extremely detailed, including recharging the meal card and hot water card, and even where to go for fun during the free day was noted. Yes. Just follow the steps on there." The freshman nodded. Seeing the successful registration on his phone screen, he turned the screen toward Lily and asked, "Senior, is this good now?" "Yes, that's good." Lily hugged the poster and bowed again. "Thank you, classmate." After the freshman left, Jason nudged my arm with his elbow. "Ethan, not bad. I thought this was your official flyer." Yvonne also took a copy of the material and nodded lightly. "Why didn't we have a handbook like this when we registered back then? I still remember when I registered. Some things my family sent to school took me 3 or 4 days to find at the delivery point." I proudly rubbed my nose. "After all, this took me a long time to organize. When has the school ever organized this? But it's all basic stuff. After studying here for a month or two, everyone basically figures it out." After saying that, I turned and pinched Lily's cheek, saying with a dark expression, "Don't stick too close to people when helping them apply for campus cards." Lily laughed foolishly, still completely immersed in the joy of suddenly earning $100 if they processed enough. Then that classmate just now would be $200 in the past. When she worked from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, and might not even earn $200. "Ethan, $100. I curled my lip and increased the strength in my hand a little. "Little money. Grubber, stop thinking about $100. I'm really afraid you'll sell yourself off by then." Lily shook her head and shook off the hand pinching her cheek, her face proud. No way, $100 can't shake my will." I flicked Lily's forehead. "Are you saying they need to add money?" Lily hummed and waved her hand in front of me, signaling for me to bend down. She cupped both hands like a megaphone against my ear, using her hands as cover to peck me on the cheek. She lowered her head slightly, looked at her chest, and said softly, "Ethan, do you know now?" The soft, damp feeling remained on my cheek as I helped Lily comb her hair. "All right, I know, but when handling applications later, remember to keep some distance from those college students. Don't fall onto their phones." After saying that, I looked at Jason and said, "Boss, help me look after Lily. I'm going to hand out flyers at the entrance. I'll leave some flyers for you too. If any students in your class need them, you can give them a copy." I took the flyers and went to the living area entrance. At this time, it was only a little past 7. Not yet the time for students to arrive in large numbers. I first went to the security booth and handed the 2 guards a cigarette each, then gave them the flyers in my hand. "Sir, I'm here to help with freshman registration." The guards looked at the flyer I handed them. One side had messages from seniors, and the other side was a freshman registration process guide, with not the slightest bit of advertising. They thought I had been sent by the district to help, so they did not drive me away. Instead, they even brought me a chair. I sat down on the chair and glanced back at Lily uneasily, only to see Lily holding the poster blankly, like a shaking electric fan, showing it to every passing student though we were 70 or 80 meters apart. I somehow felt as if I could see that Lily's eyes were full of longing for money across from Lily. Another carrier. Employees were gathered together, holding a simple morning meeting. Lucy, looks like you're off to a bad start. Who knew that new student had already agreed, yet still slipped away. Didn't Mr. Dunn say only we could set up a booth here? What's going on across from us? The middle-aged man who had faced Ethan Walker yesterday gave a light scoff, his tone full of contempt. They're probably student part-timers hired by another carrier. Anyway, there's only one person over there. All of you be more proactive today if students come over. Go up and introduce our service to them. Especially anyone who runs over to the other side, keep a close eye on them. Don't let another customer slip away. We've all made a military pledge, so everyone knows their target. Right. We know. The employees answered in unison. Good, then everyone get ready. After 8, there will be more people on the other side. While there still were not many fresh men around, I took out my phone to slack off for a bit. As soon as I opened Quick Sound, my phone started vibrating like crazy. Messages poured in like snowflakes. Seeing the bottom of the screen show 99 plus comment notifications, my eyes instantly lit up. The video from last night must have blown up. I opened the comments section and checked it. It was full of people condemning that middle-aged man. Why do I remember getting $200 per card when I promoted them before? Where did the remaining 100 plus commission go? Answer me. Look in my eyes, tell me, did the dogs eat it? You took the money, then told young people to work hard. Why don't you just die? Exploiting people while acting so righteous is truly shameless. Incoming freshman here. I already forwarded the video to the class group to remind everyone to avoid this carrier, seeing how the sharp tongues of modern netizens were as poisonous as venom. I felt that what I said yesterday had still been too restrained. I should have cursed that greasy middle-aged man out from head to toe. Time kept passing, and the number of vehicles coming and going gradually increased. Many parents parked their cars at the entrance to the living area and brought their children inside to register. I walked up beside the vehicles and handed the flyers to the parents, introducing them. Hello, this is today's freshman registration guide. You can take a look if you need to get a campus card. We have students working part-time to support themselves, and we hope you can support them. There was no excessive sales pitch. I merely told the parents and students that students from the school were also promoting campus cards. Whether they chose to get the card from a big company or support college students doing work-study was entirely up to the parents and students themselves. Sure enough, just as I expected, most of the parents brought their students toward Lily, especially when they saw Lily pitifully holding that eye-catching yet ugly poster. Lily herself was beautiful, and it was the obedient kind of beauty. The poster in her hands was obviously made by herself, and making it like that made her look a little clumsy, since the products were all essentially the same anyway. Combined with my earlier verbal hint, the parents were naturally more inclined to help someone around their own child's age. Lily would also bow seriously to every person who came to apply for a phone card, and thank them. The joy in her eyes seemed capable of infecting everyone around her. Before long, a large crowd had gathered around her to apply for campus phone cards. The application process was fairly simple, and had been simplified, mainly just requiring real name verification. However, since some incoming freshmen had gone to fill out registration forms, a number of parents gathered around Lily. Some parents were more serious and asked Lily's opinion about the phone card contract and every consent button. For a moment, Lily was a little overwhelmed. Jason looked at me diligently handing out flyers at the entrance, then glanced at Yvonne, before getting up and going to Lily's side to help. The carrier I had chosen also sent someone over, but that person did not step forward to help handle the business. He only stood quietly nearby and observed, confirming that the phone cards were all being given to students to use. Seeing that the opposite side was so busy, there was a line, while their own side only had a few scattered people coming over. The group from the carrier contracted for this spot started to panic. Mr. Dunn, what do we do? Everyone's gone to the other side. Are you all freaking pigs, sitting here waiting for someone to feed you? Go over there and grab customers. How many people can they process with so few of them? All of you go pull people over or register and activate them here. After being scolded by the middle-aged man, the others worked even harder, running over to the parents. Hello, you can take a look at our campus card. We can process it over there too. You don't need to scan any codes or fill in any information yourself. Just leave everything to us. Parents bringing students to register were short on time, and when they heard they did not need to do it themselves, quite a few were drawn over. Hello, you can choose a number first. Then just give me your child's ID. The middle-aged man showed his signature fake smile. Hearing the somewhat familiar voice, the parent sitting there frowned slightly. Say that again. The middle-aged man said in confusion. I mean, you can first pick a phone number for your child, and when processing it, we need the ID for real name registration. So please give me your child's ID too. No wonder that voice sounded familiar. The parent remembered the short video from yesterday, and instantly stood up. No need, I'll wait a while longer on the other side. Mr. Dunn, what's going on? Why did the customer I brought over just leave? The middle-aged man's face darkened. How the hell should I know? Hurry up and go bring more people. They brought over 5 or 6 people in a row, but 2 or 3 of them left as soon as they heard his voice for a while. The middle-aged man Began doubting his life. Was his voice really that unpleasant? He crouched in the corner of the tent and opened the recording function on his phone, repeating what he had just said to those people when he played it by his ear. He felt his tone was not that bad at all. In fact, there was even a faint hint of magnetism. He looked back again and found that after a female colleague took over the applications, most of the customers who came over could be kept. Mr. Dunn, I know what's going on. A young colleague came to the middle-aged man's side and handed him a phone. From the phone came the music of We Are All Trying Hard to Live, along with the middle-aged man's high and mighty lecture. Young people shouldn't aim too high, and his words about giving young people a chance to train themselves. The middle-aged man opened the comments section, which was full of all kinds of vicious insults aimed at him. Someone had even dug up his name and workplace among the newest comments. He even saw a photo of himself crouching in the corner holding his phone and listening to the recording. His chest rose and fell violently, and his face flushed red with anger. Now he finally understood why things had turned out like this. He tapped report on the video, then angrily looked through the crowd at Ethan Walker and the others standing across from their booth. Seeing that Lily's side was too busy, I no longer stood at the entrance, and instead stayed beside Lily, helping the surrounding parents handle applications. The middle-aged man called all of his colleagues over. All of you, open quick sound right now and go report this video for me. Get the colleagues in the business hall involved too. We must get this video reported until it's taken down. He glared fiercely at me yesterday when he saw me hand him a cigarette. He already knew this college student was not simple, but he had not expected me to set him up the moment we met. Originally, seeing that they were college students looking for part-time work, he had not wanted to make a fuss, but since the other side had used such dirty methods, he had to take it seriously too. He headed toward the administrative management office in the living area and found the teacher, Mr. Harris, who had represented the living area when signing the agreement with him. Seeing the middle-aged man enter his office, Mr. Harris put down his work and gestured for him to sit by the tea table. Manager Dunn, today is the first day of freshman registration. You should be at your busiest right now, shouldn't you? Douglas Dunn shook his head and sighed. Today, our company's campus card promotion in the living area has not been very effective. Within the company, he was a department manager, but facing the teacher in charge of the student living area, he did not dare show too much anger or dissatisfaction. Campus cards were only one form of cooperation between their company and universities, to put it a bit dramatically. It could even be considered the least profitable business. Things like smart campus construction, joint laboratory creation, and computing power platform setup were contracts worth tens of millions at least and hundreds of millions at most every year. Those were the real bulk of the company's business. Didn't you sign an exclusive agency contract? Why is the promotion still ineffective? Mr. Harris frowned slightly. He was responsible for some of the commercial coordination within the living area. If they had signed an exclusive contract, yet the other side's promotion was still poor, he feared it would affect other merchants moving in later. Different living areas competed with one another every year, and the revenue generated inside the living area was also one of their assessment scoring items. Seeing Mr. Harris frown tightly, Douglas Dunn relaxed slightly. Knowing the other party likely would not side with the students of their school, he quickly explained everything that had happened so far. We were originally setting up our booth here. Perfectly fine. But your students accepted a campus card promotion part-time job from another carrier and directly set up their booth across from us. Moreover, they maliciously spread rumors and smeared us online, causing some parents and students to now have opinions about our company. Mr. Harris finished the tea in his cup, stood up, returned to his desk, and called the security office in the district, telling the guards to drive away the other group of students setting up a booth to sell phone cards. After finishing all this, he nodded at Douglas Dunn. The matter has already been handled. If any other problems arise during this period, you can continue coming to me to report them. Thank you, Mr. Harris. I'll head back now. Then Douglas Dunn repeatedly thanked him. After receiving Mr. Harris's call, the guards glanced into the living area and instantly locked onto their target. Walking toward our group, they came to my side and lightly patted my shoulder. Classmate, you can't casually set up a booth here. I fell silent for a moment. Earlier, when we were processing applications in full swing, the guards had not objected at all. Now that they had suddenly come to drive us away, someone must have reported us. I looked toward the opposite carrier's tent. Sure enough, the middle-aged man was not there. Ethan. Lily came behind me and gently tugged at the hem of my shirt. This morning, she had already processed more than 30 cards, which converted to over $3,000, and was enough to equal more than half a month of her previous wages. Thinking that we were about to be driven away, her expression grew a little sad, and the corners of her mouth drooped. She had clearly been very obedient, doing a good job as the poster girl and holding that ugly poster the whole time. And she had also very seriously guided the parents and students through applying for phone cards. I gently patted Lily's hand, my gaze sweeping over the security office and the administrative building in the living area. If the middle-aged man wanted to report us, then he would definitely report through one of these two places. Seeing the middle-aged man walk out of the administrative building, a smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. I said to the guard, "Sir, All we have is this one poster. How does that count as setting up a booth? But this is your job, after all, and we understand. We will definitely cooperate with your work. Since we can't stand here, I reached out and pointed toward the middle-aged man's location. The area by the administrative building is relatively open. Can we stand there? Everyone looked in the direction I was pointing, and happened to see the middle-aged man walking out of a building in high spirits. Especially after I had casually emphasized that it was the administrative building that managed affairs in the living area. Everyone present instantly understood what had happened. The middle-aged man had just walked out of the administrative building, excitedly looking toward my booth, wanting to see me get driven away in humiliation, but the moment he turned his head, he suddenly discovered the dozens of parents and classmates gathered around me were all staring at him in unison. An ominous feeling immediately rose in his heart. He quickly restrained the smile on his face, and his movements became steady again. The parents gathered there looked at the other carrier with eyes full of contempt. Tattling was always something people despised, especially when one was caught red-handed. What carrier is that their marketing ability is terrible, but they're pretty good at tattling. You guys only have a piece of paper with package details written on it. You're not even handing out flyers. How does this count as setting up a booth? They won't even let you promote here like this. That other carrier is so overbearing. Are they trying to create a monopoly, classmate? Don't worry, we'll definitely get this card from you, even if we can't get it. We won't go to that other company. I brought Lily and bowed to the righteous parents. Thank you, uncles and aunties. But whether we can stay here isn't something the security guards can decide. This is only their job. After all, seeing that even after being treated unfairly, I did not complain about heaven or others, and even understood the guards who had come to drive us away. The parents' impression of Lily and me improved even more after a short pause. I looked at the two guards and asked again, sirs, then can we stand at the entrance of the administrative building? The two guards exchanged a look. Although they were touched that I could understand and sympathize with them, they still shook their heads. The reason the area in front of the administrative building was open was because it was full of leaders inside. If the leaders would not even let Lily and me set up in the designated booth area, then they definitely would not agree to let us set up in front of the administrative building. I pretended to look troubled, then took another step back and pointed toward the pavilion by the cafeteria not far away. Sir, then is that place okay? My marketing had already started the moment the freshmen entered the school gate. Although the pavilion was not on the main flow of foot traffic, it was still within sight. The promotional effect would not be as good as this spot, but it was almost noon, and the September sun was still rather fierce. The pavilion could also provide shade, so the actual results should not be bad. Noticing the gazes of the surrounding parents as if they wanted to eat them alive, the two guards looked at the pavilion, then looked at their security booth, and confirmed that the pavilion could not be seen from the booth. The two guards exchanged another look, neither agreeing nor objecting, and simply turned back to their posts. I brought Lily, and bowed to the surrounding parents again, then took our only piece of equipment, that ugly poster, and headed toward the pavilion. After this small incident, because the parents from earlier had not left the school yet, they all gathered around the middle-aged man's booth and kept discussing what had just happened. At first, there had still been scattered passersby going to the middle-aged man's booth to apply for campus cards, but now everyone passing by heard the murmuring crowd around them, and no one dared approach his booth. The morning passed, and around noon, there was finally a rare moment of free time. Most of the morning's parents had finished registering their children and had left the school. After I helped the last parent at the pavilion finish applying for a campus card, I came to Lily's side. Lily looked extremely tired, and even her hair was a little messy. Only her eyes, because of excitement, were shining unbelievably bright. I handed my meal card to Lily. You go eat first after you finish. I'll go eat, Ethan. My throat is practically smoking, Lily said weakly. How many cards did we process this morning? I rubbed Lily's head and could not help bursting out laughing, still saying your throat is smoking. Lily was so cute it was almost against the rules. I opened my phone and checked the back-end data. When I saw the number 137 displayed there, I was shocked for a moment. Yesterday, when I spoke with Senior Graham, we had mentioned that Section A would have around 1,200 new students this year on average, over 4 half-day periods. The number of fresh men arriving at this living area this morning should be around 300. Now, because high data plans have become common, many freshmen had already gotten high data cards after graduating high school, making up about 1/3 of the total. Among the remaining 200 students who needed campus cards, we had handled 70%, while the other two carriers had split the remaining 30%. I turned the phone toward Lily and lightly pinched her cheek. Is your throat still smoking now? $13,700. Lily's eyes widened, and she suddenly let out a startled cry. She hurriedly covered her mouth, hid behind my back, and looked around cautiously. After confirming no one had noticed, she lifted her head to look at me, revealing a neat row of little white teeth. It's still smoking. Still smoking. I leaned close to Lily's ear and whispered, it shouldn't be hard for us to reach 200 cards, so the commission for each card should double too. As soon as I finished speaking, I quickly reached out and covered Lily's mouth. Sure enough, just as I expected, this little money grubber Lily let out a muffled, excited sound. If it doubled, That would be $27,400 compared to when she used to work. That was almost half a year's salary, but today, she had only listened to me and held that ugly poster all morning, yet earned so much money. Lily licked her dry lips and naturally rested her head on my shoulder. It's not smoking anymore. If only school started every day. I held Lily and ruffled her hair, saying gently, but this money isn't all ours. Boss helped this morning, and Senior Yvonne's boyfriend, Justin, was called over to help too. Although they didn't say anything and probably never thought of taking money, we still have to show our appreciation. Lily nodded heavily and lifted her head to look at me as she asked, then can we invite him to eat at home later? I raised a brow. I had originally thought of going out for a victory meal, but now that I thought about it, a home banquet would be even better. I placed my fingertip against Lily's cheek and gently wiggled it. Then I'll have to trouble you later. We ate lunch in shifts. Lily first took my meal card to the cafeteria, because we had earned a lot of money in the morning, and her throat really was about to start smoking. Besides the free soup provided by the cafeteria, she also bought an extra bottle of green tea. After quickly finishing lunch and returning to the pavilion, I was just helping a parent who had arrived at noon apply for a campus card. She had not expected that in such a short time, we had earned what she used to make in an entire day. Her eyes were shining a little. I took the meal card Lily handed me, left the parent to Lily, and went to the cafeteria for lunch. After quickly finishing my lunch, I bought 5 extra portions of sliced watermelon and 5 bottles of iced happy water from the cafeteria. I first went to the security booth and placed 2 portions of sliced watermelon and happy water inside, greeting the 2 security uncles. Sirs, it's hot out, have something to cool down. The 2 security uncles were a little shocked, although they had later silently allowed me to set up. They had, after all, been the ones to drive me away from my original spot classmate. How did you do this morning? One guard casually asked. I handed each of them another cigarette, and said with a smile, we're just earning a bit for tuition and miscellaneous fees to ease the pressure on our families. After working all morning, I finally realized how hard it is for our parents to earn money. The 2 guards were probably in their 40s, and hearing my words, they nodded with relief. Classmate, why don't you bring some of those flyers here? We're at the entrance anyway. When freshmen come in, we can hand them one. I had not expected such an unexpected bonus. I quickly brought the remaining half of the flyers to the 2 security uncles, with the 2 security uncles helping. This way, I would not have to stand at the entrance while watching Lily look overwhelmed. After thanking the 2 security uncles, I brought the other 3 portions of watermelon and happy water to the tent area. I placed the food on the table in front of Boss Jason and Senior Yvonne. Where's Justin? I bought him one too. He's lazy to death. Yvonne looked a little helpless. He said helping you this morning was too tiring, so he went back to the dorm to sleep at noon. It really was a bit busy this morning. I scratched my head awkwardly. Boss, Senior Yvonne, didn't I rent a small apartment once we're done with this busy period? Let's call Lucas, Sienna, and Violet to my place for dinner too. Before the department starts recruiting new members, Lucas, Sienna, and Violet were all people who had joined the student union the same year as me. Jason was the department head, and Senior Yvonne was considered the nominal deputy department head. Their department was the entrepreneurship department, mainly responsible for managing the college's student entrepreneurship space and organizing the college's student innovation and entrepreneurship competition during freshman year. Aside from occasionally needing to help organize some documents or take shifts at the entrepreneurship space, most of the time was spent gathering together to eat, drink, and have fun. Many of the places where the original owner secretly dated Vivian were places Senior Jason and Senior Yvonne had once taken him to visit. Sure, Jason looked at Yvonne and asked, how about one evening when we're free? Let's make it the afternoon. Then we can go buy groceries at the supermarket together. Yvonne said. I nodded. Then next weekend we'll ask the others for the exact time later. I made a drinking glass shape with my hand, looked at Jason, and raised my brow. Boss, drink. Jason made an okay sign and threw me a flirtatious wink, making an expression that said you know it. Yvonne lightly scolded us and looked at us with disgust. You two are so gross. The afternoon sun was blazing, and the air carried the faint fragrance of unknown flowers. Occasionally, students passed by quietly with leisurely steps. I returned to Lily's side. Her eyes were slightly lowered as she looked at the shrubs in the flower bed not far away, her gaze full of longing. Seeing me sit down beside her, she lightly hugged my arm and rested her head on my shoulder. The breeze stirred the loose strands of hair on her forehead. She imagined that if we could earn this much every day, then maybe there would be hope of curing her illness. But then, she thought again, that was $1 million. Enough to buy 20 years of an ordinary person's youth. The most frightening thing was not the despair of being trapped in a swamp. The most frightening thing was that she seemed to have faintly seen a ray of hope. She shook her head, unwilling to think about those things. After all, freshman registration only lasted 2 clever days. Ethan, what are we going to do after freshman registration ends? Lily asked. I thought for a moment. After these 2 busy days, we should probably have $30,000 or $40,000 on hand. That should only be enough for the 2 of us to live on after these 2 days. We'll first buy you a few little skirts and dress you up beautifully. Beautifully, your phone has been used for quite a long time too. So we'll get you a new one then. After that, we'll pick a weekend and go together to nearby Mount Haven for a trip. How does that sound?" Lily smiled with her eyes curved and agreed. She was not really disappointed after all. In the final year of her life, she had only wanted to enjoy life properly, and did not want to stay in that suffocating factory anymore, at least during these 2 days by my side. She had experienced another way of living, and experienced the university campus life she had once longed for. Time flowed slowly like honey. After 1 in the afternoon, freshmen began arriving one after another at the living area to register. Lily picked up that ugly poster of hers again, and obediently stood in the shadow of the pavilion as the poster girl, while I took the flyers and stood at the intersection between the main road and the pavilion, drawing passing parents and students over to us to apply for campus cards. But because we were not on the natural path of foot traffic, even with the security guards helping introduce us, the promotional effect was not especially good. I looked toward the tent of the other carrier, and it seemed that they had already realized the problem. The middle-aged man was not in their tent area at all. I fanned myself with a flyer and let out a light sigh. The results this afternoon would probably be heavily discounted. Suddenly, from behind me in the direction where Lily was, a sharp scolding voice rang out. "Who allowed you to set up a booth here? What major and class are you in?" After being suddenly shouted at, Lily looked like a frightened rabbit, so scared that the poster in her hand fell to the ground. She lowered her head, wanting to pick up that ugly poster. I had told her she had to hold the poster properly. Mr. Harris glanced at the poster. It was so ugly he could hardly bear to look at it, and he stepped directly on it. "What is this thing you made? Do you even attend class? Seriously? Hurry up and take out your student ID. Call your counselor over and have your counselor take you back." Lily's eyes turned red, her shoulders trembling slightly. As tears slid down her cheeks and fell to the ground, she murmured in a wrong voice. Ethan Walker the first dropped the flyers in my hand and rushed straight into the crowd, shielding Lily in front of me. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought you here." I hugged Lily tightly, my voice full of guilt. Lily burrowed into my arms, biting her lip hard. But her tears could no longer be stopped. My chest rose and fell violently as I glared fiercely at the tall Mr. Harris in front of me. I glanced behind Mr. Harris. The person in charge of the other carrier, Douglas Dunn, was standing behind him wearing a mask. Behind the two of them were 2 security guards, but the 2 guards looked awkward, their heads lowered as they stood slightly farther away. Mr. Harris looked at the scene of the 2 of us embracing, and frowned deeply. Then he scoffed. "Girls really don't know how to cherish themselves. What do you come to school for if all you know is getting a boyfriend? I really don't know how your parents taught you right." "Right, your parents taught you well," I said sarcastically. "Back then, your parents just looked at each other once, and then gave birth to you." "Right." Mr. Harris's pupils widened in shock. He had worked here for more than 10 years, and this was the first time he had been cursed at by a student to his face. "What major and class are you in? What's your name? Do you understand what it means to respect teachers and value education?" He scolded harshly. "Respect teachers and value education?" I gave a light scoff. "Then tell me, what exactly have you taught me? Did you teach me to rely on your identity as a teacher to bully students at school, or to use the tiny bit of power in your hands to make things as difficult as possible for others, satisfying your disgusting and twisted desire for control, or to be used like a damn idiot by someone else as a weapon? Look at what you've done yourself. And you still dare talk to me about respecting teachers? Do you even deserve that?" After saying that, I glared at the middle-aged man again. "What kind of stupid piece of trash are you? Did you think we were easy to bully just because we're college students? You tried to bully us this morning, but the other fresh men's parents stopped you. Now that those parents have finished registering their kids and gone home, you're coming at us again this afternoon all day long. Other than exploiting the people under you, you only know how to play these messy little tricks. You're really freaking impressive. Didn't you say young people shouldn't aim too high and should get more chances to train themselves?" I picked up my ugly poster, tore it to pieces, and threw the scraps at the middle-aged man. "From now on, I'll go to your business office every single day to complain about you maliciously oppressing and exploiting college students, along with everything you did today. I'll go to your leaders every day to complain. If your business office won't handle it, I'll complain to your headquarters. If they still won't handle it, I'll complain to the mayor." Douglas Dunn's heart trembled. If things really escalated that far, the company would probably start finding ways to persuade him to resign. He was already middle-aged, and had only barely worked his way up to a small middle management position. He had no way to train together with young people, and judging by my methods, I would probably even start a live stream across the whole internet. With his reputation, he might not find a stable job for quite some time. But now things had already blown up. Many parents around them had already taken out their phones to record this beautiful life. Now he had only one path left to walk to the end. He took a deep breath and calmed himself, then said coldly, "Classmate, being louder doesn't make you right. We signed an exclusive agreement with the living area. For these 2 days, only our company can set up a booth here in the living area. You setting up a booth here is infringing on our company's legal rights. If we take this seriously, our company can sue you. Right now, we are only asking your teacher and the security guards to remind you Which is already out of consideration for the fact that you are college students, Mr. Harris. Nodded and echoed him, classmate. Don't be so hot-tempered. The school has already signed a contract. We're doing this for your own good. Yet you actually turn around and bite back, then go ahead and sue me, I shrugged, giving a disdainful scoff. The contract you signed only restricts employees of other carriers from setting up booths here. We are still current students, only working a part-time job. It doesn't even count as an internship. Yesterday afternoon, I already communicated with Senior Graham about this matter and confirmed that promoting campus cards in the district would not cause problems. Besides, did we set up a booth? I pointed at the poster torn into pieces other than holding one sheet of paper with the plan details written on it. All we did was guide parents through applying for phone cards. So what you mean is that we can't stand in one place to assist parents with phone card applications, and we have to run around while processing them? Is that it, or are you saying that because you signed an exclusive contract, the students who come here can only use your company's campus card? Hearing my rebuttal, the middle-aged man opened his mouth but suddenly did not know what to say, and instantly fell silent. Other living areas also had carriers that signed exclusive agreements, and the company behind him also recruited student part-timers to promote campus cards, but those students usually snuck into fresh men group chats, helped freshmen carry luggage, or swept the dorms at night. Who was like me, going straight up to their face like this? Mr. Harris also felt somewhat panicked now. Of course, he knew what kind of contract he had signed with the carrier. He simply wanted to protect the rights and interests of the carrier contracted here, so that he could better advance his own business recruitment work later. The main issue was that he had not expected me to be this difficult to deal with. If it had been any other student, after being scolded by him, they would have already left with their head covered in dust, but now that parents were recording him on their phones, he was stuck in a difficult position. His eyes shifted, and a flash of inspiration appeared in his mind as he sneered. You say you're students, and that makes you students. Who knows if you're employees of another carrier? Take out your student IDs and let me see. My eyes suddenly wavered a little. I was not worried about Mr. Harris going to find my counselor, but Lily's outsider identity made my heart tighten. After all, she was not a student of the school at all. Mr. Harris caught my hesitation, and a sneer rose at the corner of his mouth. Students were still students after all. The moment teachers were mentioned, they wilted. As the manager of the living area, he did not usually deal with students much, but as long as he knew the two people's majors and classes, then after calling over their counselors and homeroom teachers, he could make these two juniors suffer in minutes. He wanted to see whether these two could keep being stubborn in front of their teachers. I pondered briefly, then simply took out my student ID, my tone calm as I introduced myself. 24th class, School of Business, Economics, Ethan Walker. After saying that, I instinctively shielded Lily behind me, a cold smile appearing on my face. And then this morning, you ordered the guards to drive me away, and this afternoon you personally came charging over with no investigation and no evidence. Only because I'm a student of this school. My tone shifted. The King dynasty fell how many years ago? Or did our school not receive the notice when liberation happened? My words were like tiny needles, stabbing Mr. Harris until his face turned green, then red. Mr. Harris glared at me. Then his gaze fell on the quiet girl behind Ethan Walker. Who doesn't know how to pinch a soft persimmon? Ethan Walker was impossible to move, but that little girl looked like she would bruise with one squeeze. You can prove you're a student, but what about her? Maybe she's some random outsider who snuck in. I clicked my tongue. Actually, I could have said Lily was Autumn Lane, but the situation was tense, and I was afraid escalating it would drag Autumn into trouble. When rules were involved, personal feelings had to step aside. Autumn Lane and I were only nodding acquaintances, and I did not want to easily involve someone else. My hesitation was seen through by Mr. Harris and Douglas Dunn at a glance, and the two immediately pushed further. We told you this morning, yet you dared come again this afternoon. Isn't this clearly refusing discipline, and you're causing trouble in front of parents, smearing the school's reputation? Ethan Walker, and you, come with me to the office and have your teachers come pick you up. Just as the atmosphere was about to explode, a girl wearing a baseball cap and a ponytail emerged from the crowd and quietly stuffed a card into my hand. I looked down and found that it was Autumn Lane's student ID. The photo on the ID was especially eye-catching. I took a deep breath, suppressed the excitement in my heart, and suddenly changed into a dejected expression. Teacher, I'm sorry, we were indeed wrong. As I spoke, I took out that student ID and handed it over. She is my classmate, Autumn Lane. I naturally patted Lily's back. Lily raised her head. The tear marks on her face had not yet dried, and her delicate features carried a hint of fragility in the ID photo. Lily looked bright and full of life, yet now she was tearful and pitiful. We only wanted to do a little part-time work to help ease the pressure on our families. I faced the watching crowd. My voice lowered. Our parents don't have it easy making money, and we don't want to rely on our families for everything just because we told parents that we could process campus cards. We were driven away like this. I really don't understand why. After saying that, I brought Lily and bowed deeply to that middle-aged man. Sir, I'm sorry, since this area has already been contracted out, we shouldn't have promoted here. I'll turn around and notify the younger students to cancel our phone numbers and all go to your company to apply for cards. Douglas Dunn broke into a cold sweat hearing this. Ethan Walker's words sounded like an apology on the surface, but in reality, they pushed him into the eye of the storm. What had originally been healthy competition between peers now clearly became malicious competition. Following Ethan Walker's bow, the eyes of the surrounding parents instantly gathered over, as if they wanted to devour Douglas Dunn, to skin him alive. He already had a premonition that once today's incident spread, forget giving young people opportunities. Even keeping his own job would be uncertain facing the toughest job market. He would end up standing on the same starting line as a group of overachievers. The most heartbreaking part was that in the past, working hard was for promotion, but in the future, effort would only be for staying employed. Once Douglas Dunn realized he had already been hung out to dry, I cast another apologetic look at Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris felt chills all over from the stare, cursing himself for somehow being persuaded by Douglas Dunn to personally step in. He had originally thought that by using Autumn Lane's identity, he could make Ethan Walker submit, bow his head in public, admit his mistake, and give the parents an explanation, and the matter would be over. But now, Ethan Walker was not afraid of school punishment at all. Instead, he had turned him into the unlucky man at the center of the storm. Now that the incident had blown up, not only had he failed at his job, he had also made the school take the blame for get promotion. Even keeping his rice bowl would be difficult. Before I could say anything else, Mr. Harris took the initiative to soften Ethan. Actually, the school also supports students practicing and training. It's just that we signed an exclusive agreement with that carrier in principle. We don't allow other teams to set up booths. Earlier, someone reported that you were not students of this school, so we checked your student IDs. Now there's no problem, you can continue setting up your booth. Whether on the main road or at the pavilion is fine. I gently rubbed Lily's hair and made a decision in my heart. The moment Lily was forced to cry, I no longer wanted to endure it. I pretended to be frightened and bowed repeatedly. Teacher, we really don't dare anymore. We definitely won't set up a booth again. All the freshmen's campus cards belong to you and that uncle. How would we dare steal your business again? We only wanted to ease our family's burden and safely finish our studies. The watching parents looked at my timid appearance and Lily's unstoppable tears, and their brows furrowed tighter and tighter. Universities are still doing this nowadays. Can a school my son can get into really be any good? Didn't the news expose this some time ago? Some schools send students to shady factories, don't pay them, and only stamp their internship papers. Otherwise, they won't give them their diplomas. Going to a factory is already considered good. Wasn't there a professor last year who made students whispered? Discussions spread through the crowd, and questioning gazes struck Mr. Harris like spotlights. No wonder he insisted on checking student IDs. Turns out he was saving it for later retaliation, taking them to the office. Isn't that just using graduation to threaten him? Sigh. What sensible kids. They know how to help their families share the burden. Mr. Harris's forehead began sweating. He had only intended for their counselor to criticize and educate them and make them write a reflection. But now, in the parents' mouths, he had become a villain who could freely control a student's fate. He forced a smile and explained. Everyone. Someone only reported the matter, so we verified their identities according to procedure. There is absolutely no retaliation. Now is the peak time for registration. If we keep deadlocked, it will affect your work. He pushed all responsibility onto the middle-aged man. As for whether the parents believed him, he could no longer care. I pulled Lily and bowed repeatedly. Teacher, please don't punish us. Okay, this carrier gives $100 per card, but this uncle only gives 30. We only wanted to earn a little more to help ease our family's burden. We shouldn't have promoted in the living area under your management. We know we were wrong. What? The crowd exploded, and all eyes shot toward Mr. Harris, taking 70 from every card, with tens of thousands of freshmen. That's millions. No wonder they want to drive people away. They're blocking his money. Just now he acted all proper. Classmate, don't be afraid, we'll help you report this. Where is the principal? We'll go right now. Mr. Harris's face turned ashen as he glared fiercely at Douglas Dunn. After decades of business recruitment, he knew the tricks inside all too well. According to what I said, Douglas Dunn was taking at least 70 per card, maybe even 170. No wonder I said he had been used as a weapon. If this reached the principal, his career might be over. Although he had not accepted bribes, if those gift bags were seriously investigated. He stole a glance at me. The young man looked humble on the surface, but there was ruthlessness hidden in his eyes, like a wolf that had locked onto prey. Mr. Harris shivered for no reason. His silence made the parents even angrier, convincing them that he had a guilty conscience. I held Lily tighter. I know challenging rules comes with a price, but we are young students in our prime. I recited softly, my voice gradually growing louder, pointing at the mountains and rivers, writing with passion, treating the mighty lords of the past like dirt. The great man's poem was like a spark, instantly igniting the crowd. More than 100 years ago, it was young students who led the charge in challenging the old order. Luzon's words exploded in everyone's hearts. Has it always been right just because it has always been this way? Mr. Harris looked at me pleadingly like a defeated rooster before I recited the poem. He could still throw the blame onto Douglas Dunn and spend money to settle things now. Being transferred would be considered light. If this were decades earlier, he might have been shot. I quietly watched the noisy crowd around us, unconsciously smoothing the ends of Lily's hair. If I had transmigrated with some cheat ability, I would not have let the girl in my arms suffer such grievance. I suddenly remembered that unfinished first love from my previous life. At 20, I had met someone I wanted to protect for life, but could only let go in front of reality. As for Lily, at first, suitability had outweighed my heartbeat, but the moment her tears rolled down, the heart in my chest felt as if it had been clenched by an invisible hand. Do you want to get some air? I asked softly. Lily shook her head. Her damp bangs stuck to her forehead. She burrowed deeper into my arms, but the slightly pouted lips when she shook her head still revealed that tiny bit of emotion. Hurried footsteps approached quickly. The dean of the School of Business, Quentin Blake, arrived in a rush with school officials. This middle-aged professor, who also served as my homeroom teacher, visibly straightened when he saw his prized student. During the opening lecture, this student had been the one who listened most attentively. Ethan, the school has already learned the basic situation. Quentin Blake pushed up his glasses. Whether Mr. Harris committed any violations, we will investigate seriously. For now, could we move to the office to discuss this in detail? I glanced at Mr. Harris, whose face was ashen. Now you want to negotiate? I took out my phone and checked the time. 2:30 in the afternoon. Mr. Harris already approved us to continue promoting. I deliberately raised my voice. Right now is the peak time for freshman registration. We have no demands. We only want to continue our part-time work. Mr. Harris's mouth twitched just now when he allowed the booth. I refused, but now that they wanted reconciliation, I wanted to work instead. He forced a smile. Ethan, if we handle this quickly, you can also finish earlier. We have nothing that needs handling. My suddenly raised voice startled several sparrows from the branches. We are earning clean money with our own hands within the scope allowed by school rules. First, someone tried to drive us away from monopolizing the market. Now again I glanced at Quentin Blake and swallowed the rest of my words. These people high above us made even apologies feel like charity. Quentin Blake's gaze turned toward Mr. Harris and suddenly sharpened. Mr. Harris, how do you plan to settle the disturbance you caused? Mr. Harris smiled bitterly. Did he still have any choice? Seeing him nod as if accepting his fate, Quentin Blake softened his tone toward me. The school will provide reasonable compensation. Can we go to the office now? I looked around at the crowd that still had not dispersed today. We indeed could not continue working, but there had to be an explanation. Fine, just as I agreed. I felt the hem of my shirt being gently tugged. Can I not go? Lily raised her face. The thought of facing an entire room of strangers apologizing made her feel like she could not breathe. Besides, during this time, she could process a few more cards. $200 in commission was equal to what she used to earn from carrying plates all day. Go wait for me at Boss Jason's tent. I pointed toward Jason's booth. Then I suddenly saw the girl crouch down and pick up the torn pieces of the poster one by one. The breeze brushed past as she laid out the scraps like a puzzle and casually picked up small stones to press down the corners. This simple action instantly made the surrounding parents' eyes turn red, who had not experienced the bitterness of being wronged yet still having to force themselves to keep working. Watching her seriously piece things together under the sunlight, I suddenly felt the whole world soften a little. The parents brought their children over one after another to process cards, as if doing so could soothe the grievance the girl had suffered. Only Mr. Harris's face was ashen. He had thought that the poem had already been the killing blow, but never expected the real ultimate move to be waiting here. Now he was practically the image of a malicious teacher who bullied students, and even jumping into the Yellow River could not wash him clean. Bang, the office door shut heavily. In the small meeting room, Quentin Blake sat in the main seat, while Mr. Harris, Douglas Dunn, and I sat on both sides. I propped my phone upright on the table, aimed the camera at myself, and pressed record. I silently looked out the window, thinking about that socially anxious little girl. Lily was out there alone promoting campus cards. I wondered if she would be so nervous she would not know what to do. Mr. Harris and Douglas Dunn stared at each other, and the air was so frozen it felt like water could be wrung from it. Quentin Blake cleared his throat. Mr. Harris, this matter started because of you. Speak first. Mr. Harris turned toward me, with a smile uglier than crying. Ethan, today was indeed my work mistake. I personally compensate each of you 1,000. What do you think? I lowered my lashes, and suddenly started calculating. This morning, we processed 140 cards. This afternoon, we haven't even reached 30. The carrier said that after reaching 200 cards, the commission is 200 per card. Section H has an exclusive agreement too, plus an extra 10%. Mr. Harris's Adam's apple bobbed, and his pupils quaked. Only a little over 300 fresh men came to Section H this morning, and after excluding those who already had cards, more than half had applied through me. If he were Douglas Dunn, he would also be furious. But $25,000, that was 3 months of his salary. Seeing my posture, I was clearly dissatisfied with the $2,000 compensation. He glanced at Douglas Dunn, regretting it so much. His intestines turned green. Why did he step into this muddy water? Bullshit. Douglas Dunn slammed the table and stood up. Isn't that girl still out there processing cards? We only delayed you half an hour, and you were the one dragging things out and refusing to cooperate. 2,000 is already generous, don't push your luck, I shrugged. Then I'll go help my girlfriend process cards, it's not like half an hour matters. Right. If we work overtime tonight, maybe we can still receive your transfer. No, Mr. Harris grabbed me as I was about to stand and turned to roar at Douglas Dunn. What the hell do you want? You encouraged me to drive them away earlier. And now you're putting on this face after being controlled by a student. Douglas Dunn sneered, then drag it out once the parents leave. Let's see what else he can do. At worst, give him a warning punishment. And record one against that girl too. If they keep making trouble, just withhold their diplomas and see if he still. Mr. Harris broke out in layers of cold sweat. And quickly smiled apologetically at me. Ethan, don't listen to his nonsense, we don't have that authority. He wiped away cold sweat. Finally understanding what a pig teammate meant, he only managed the living area's business recruitment. Yet after Douglas Dunn stirred things up like this, anything that happened to me later would be counted on him. Now he had to appease me, while also holding down this mad Douglas Dunn. What can a student like me do? I suddenly clapped, my eyes bright like a fox that had found prey. Mr. Harris, the living areas smart campus construction is your responsibility. Right, what happens when an employee causes major economic losses again? Mr. Harris suddenly released Douglas Dunn. His expression changed drastically. Douglas Dunn froze on the spot like a rooster whose neck had been grabbed. A yearly $1 million order. If it fell through, decades of his struggle would all be over. See, now we can talk properly again, I whistled. Then suddenly clutched my chest. Oh my. I'm so scared. If I can't get my diploma, then 4 years of study would be wasted. I heard the top floor of the administrative building has a nice breeze. Maybe I'll go up there every day to feel it. Mr. Harris's face turned black as the bottom of a pot. He had just thought this kid had helped him. But in the next moment, I was threatening to jump off a building. The school will absolutely not withhold diplomas, Quentin. Blake quickly smoothed things over. Mr. Harris gritted his teeth. 25,000, we'll compensate you as long as you write a letter of understanding and clarify to the parents that it was a misunderstanding. I tilted my head, my face full of innocence. But if you hadn't caused trouble, that money was what I should have earned anyway. Hearing my words, Mr. Harris felt his head ache, his eyes full of silent accusation toward Douglas Dunn. In the end, they had only delayed me half an hour. Even during peak time, the loss would at most be 5,000. Yet now they had to compensate an extra 20,000. It was like throwing a meat bun at a dog. Gone with no return. Quentin Blake also joined the persuasion, his tone carrying the worldly smoothness unique to adults. Ethan, you may not have truly entered society yet and don't have much sense of making money. Freshman registration only lasts 2 days usually. Where would you find such a good opportunity? I lightly clicked my tongue and shrugged. Fine, then let's just round it to a whole number. All right. Mr. Harris immediately agreed and transferred $10,000 on the spot, then turned and signaled Douglas Dunn with his eyes. Douglas Dunn let out a long sigh, bitterness in his heart like he had swallowed Coptis, and could only helplessly transfer 20,000 over. Originally, he could have made 30 or 40,000 this opening month. Now not only had he failed to earn a single cent, he had even paid 20,000 out of pocket. The loss before and after was 40 or 50,000, enough to wipe out more than half a year of his hard work. If he had known this would happen, he would never have gotten involved in this mess even if someone beat him to death. Quentin Blake saw that the mediation had finally landed and quickly handed over the settlement agreement. Since everyone has reached an agreement, sign the agreement. I glanced over it. The agreement basically required me to keep my public statement consistent and described this whole storm as a small work mistake. After confirming there were no traps, I signed it readily. As soon as I walked out of the administrative building, quite a few parents were still waiting for news. I smiled and bowed to everyone. Thank you, uncles and aunties, for your concern. It was really just a small misunderstanding in communication with the teacher, and it has all been resolved now. Quentin Blake also stepped forward and spoke in a proper manner. Our school has always been student-centered and strongly encourages students to participate in entrepreneurial practice. Today's incident has also exposed shortcomings in our student affairs work. We will definitely keep improving and provide students with a better environment for growth. After the polite words were finished, Quentin Blake and I exchanged a look. After getting tacit permission, I broke into a quick run, slipped into the crowd, and rushed straight toward Lily. At that moment, Lily was surrounded by a circle of parents, busy as a spinning top. When she saw me come back, she got so excited that her foot slipped and she fell right into my arms. I'm back. I took the chance to rub her hair and lowered my voice. With a bit of pride, everything's settled. I knocked a hard some out of them. Who dares make my Lily cry? A blush flew onto Lily's cheeks, and her little fist lightly hit me. You're so annoying. The surrounding freshmen immediately started teasing. Hey, senior, stop feeding us dog food. We just got to the school gate and we're already full. I smiled and raised a brow, deliberately lifting Lily's chin and tapping her forehead. With a kiss amid a wave of booing, I held her hand and continued helping the freshman apply for cards, my fingertips gently rubbing the back of her hand, as if declaring ownership. Autumn dusk fell especially early. The sky gradually darkened, and it was already 5:30 in the evening. Boss, when are we closing up? I turned and asked Jason. Jason checked his watch. Almost there. Let's call it a day. I nodded, my gaze drifting toward Yvonne and Justin, who were being lovey-dovey. Let's grab dinner together tonight. Everyone's been busy all day. We should treat ourselves. Sure. Are we going to the food street behind the school? Yvonne answered with a smile. The food street was lined with all kinds of snack stalls, cheap and delicious, making it a gathering place for college students nearby. But I was in a good mood today and could not resist joking. Small scene tonight. We have to go into town for a proper meal. The commercial street in town was a little farther from school, and the restaurants were much better in both environment and food. I thought for a moment and remembered the skewers Lily and I had passed yesterday, then suggested, how about Spicy City boiled fish? I haven't eaten there in a long time. This Szechuan restaurant was well known in town, and could be considered a top-tier treat for students. $100 per person was already luxurious for students, but the taste was worth waiting in line for an hour. Let's go. Let's go. Yvonne took Justin's hand. E-bikes or walking? E-bikes. I moved out. So after dinner I won't go back to school with you, I said with a smile. I'll go to the dorm and change clothes, Yvonne said, then turned and left. Justin leaned over and winked. Ethan, not bad. You finally figured things out and found such a great girlfriend. I scratched my head, looking bashful, as I formally introduced Lily to everyone. Thank you, Justin. Lily bowed solemnly. When we were handling cards in the afternoon, Justin had helped relieve the pressure. Justin nodded and walked over to the trash can to light a cigarette. At that moment, Jason leaned in and asked quietly, did Professor Blake make things hard for you this afternoon? You won't be punished, right? Don't worry. I grinned. This blew up so much that the school only wants to protect its reputation. How would they dare punish me for real? Even if there's a little trouble later, they'll at most deduct 1 or 2 points from my usual grade. If I'm really short, 1 point from the passing line. The teachers can still let me slide. University grades are made up of usual grades, midterm scores, and final scores, so teachers always have some room to maneuver, as long as you don't court death. What college student doesn't know how to read the room? Jason followed my gaze toward the school gate. Who are we still waiting for now? As soon as he finished speaking, someone patted my shoulder. I turned around and saw a girl wearing a baseball cap with a ponytail. Autumn Lane. She pulled Lily's arm and smiled as she opened her palm. Hey, my student ID is still with you, right? I held the student ID in both hands like I was presenting a treasure and handed it back to Autumn Lane, blinking as I put on an exaggerated act. My boss above, thank you for saving my life. Autumn Lane rolled her eyes irritably and took the card, her tone carrying a little pride. I wasn't saving you, I did it for Lily. She smoothly held Lily's arm and asked with concern, Lily, were you okay afterward? Actually, when she stuffed the card to Ethan Walker, it was mostly because she was afraid people would notice that she and Lily looked exactly the same. So she had quickly avoided the area from a distance. Lily curved her lips slightly and looked at me with gentle eyes, then carefully told her what had happened afterward. Jason leaned over, his face full of gossip. Your girlfriend and her twins, they look way too similar. Don't ask me. I spread my hands innocently. Their birthdays are still a year apart. You can't find a case like this in any biology textbook. Just treat it as a miracle, as for a DNA test. That's too troublesome and costs money. Anyway, they each have their own family. So even if we investigate, what would it change? That bit of curiosity can be suppressed with one barbecue meal. From these past few days of chatting with Lily, I could more or less guess that she had actually been loved by her mother when she was little. It was only later that the atmosphere at home changed. As for her father, that had always been a blank space. I lightly snapped my fingers and pretended to be mysterious. Autumn, did you ask your parents about Lily? I did. Autumn Lane curled her lip, but my parents both said there's only me and my younger brother in the family. Lily's eyes darkened, and she quietly moved closer to me. Sensing her emotions, I held her tighter and comforted her softly. Isn't that perfect? It means you two aren't twins, but a one-of-a-kind little miracle in the biological world, all by yourselves. I paused, the corner of my mouth carrying a mischievous smile. Besides, you have me by your side. Lily looked up. The sunset fell warmly across her face, and she smiled like a little cat that had finally been held. Hey, Autumn. Lane looked like she could not stand it and pretended goosebumps had fallen all over the ground. I still have to maintain my cold goddess image at school. You two acting like this makes it look like I'm throwing myself at you. I raised a brow and pointed at my own cheek with a wicked smile. Lily's cheeks turned crimson as she stood on tiptoe and gently kissed the side of my face. Oh, Autumn Lane exaggeratedly showed disgust and pulled Lily to her side. Yvonne had changed into loose clothes and ran over, panting, let's go, hurry up and head out. Justin saw this and copied Ethan Walker by pointing at his own face. But Yvonne actually leaned closer and looked left and right. You have a pimple. Yvonne revealed a row of white teeth and said cheerfully, perfect. Didn't you say you were quitting spicy food? Then all the spicy dishes are mine. She suddenly wrinkled her nose and stared at Justin. Didn't you say over summer break that you were quitting smoking? Why are you smoking again as soon as I come back? Justin curled his lip and looked at Lily with an aggrieved face. Why is my girlfriend so not gentle? Yvonne ignored him completely. Directly took out a pimple patch. I'll put this on you when we go back later. Then she took the lighter from Justin's pocket. I'll hold this for now and give it back when we get back to the dorm. Justin squeezed her hand, feeling that even this little bickering was rather sweet. 3 e-bikes sped along the road and soon stopped in front of Spicy City Boiled Fish. I got off Jason's bike seat, and before I even took off my helmet, I pressed my head against Lily's helmet. Autumn. Lane patted my shoulder and teased, "Are you trying to bully Lily again?" "How would I dare? I'm the innocent one among all our friends." I pinched Lily's cheek. Enough. Stop feeding us dog food and hurry up to order. Yvonne urged. The server led him to the big fish tank at the entrance, where blackfish and grass carp were swimming energetically. "For 6 people, how about a 4 or 5 pound fish, grass carp or blackfish?" I casually pointed. "That blackfish." The server skillfully scooped up the blackfish and knocked it unconscious, then weighed it. 5 pounds and 2 ounces. Mild, medium, or extra spicy? Mild, everyone answered in unison. The server wrote down the order and left. I handed the menu to Yvonne. "Senior, you go first." Yvonne ordered boiled beef, dry pot cauliflower, and brown sugar rice cakes. When the menu was handed to Lily, I was one step faster and slapped a hand over her eyes, turning the menu over to Autumn Lane. Lily angrily lifted her head. "Why won't you let me look at the menu?" "Isn't looking at me better? What's so interesting about a menu?" I grinned wickedly and brushed her bangs aside. "You two are really enough." Autumn Lane helplessly shoved the menu to Lily. "Here, pick yourself." Lily glanced at it. Blackfish, 58 per pound. Looking down, dry pot cauliflower and brown sugar rice cakes were both 28. Boiled beef 68. Her little calculator spun wildly in her mind. This meal cost more than 300 just for the fish, and several hundred altogether. Her new clothes yesterday had cost less than 400. She obediently covered her eyes with her hand and hid in my arms, muttering softly, "I hope this is just a dream." Lily's little money grubber look made everyone unable to hold back laughter. Autumn Lane pursed her lips and smiled. She had not expected this girl to have such an adorable side. She had originally thought Ethan Walker was stingy, but now she understood that he was afraid Lily would feel heartbroken after seeing the prices. So she only ordered a big pitcher of sour plum drink and returned the menu. I passed the menu to Jason and Justin, and the two of them discussed briefly before adding only 1 pineapple fried rice as the staple food after entering the private room. Lily was still counting on her fingers. She quietly tugged at my sleeve. "How many cards did we process this afternoon?" I took out my phone and checked. Even though that mess happened in the afternoon, we still processed more than 80. If we work harder tomorrow, maybe we can reach 300 and get the 5,000 bonus. I pinched Lily's cheek. "From now on, don't call the younger students $100 anymore. When you were processing cards for them this afternoon, they were all asking me why the senior was calling them that." Lily shrank her neck, her ears turning red. "Wrong, you should call them $200 now." I turned the phone screen toward her, and the number 233 was clearly displayed on it. Lily's eyes widened, and her little mouth opened slightly before a brilliant smile bloomed on her face. 46,000 was equal to more than half a year of her wages. Thinking about it that way, the grievance she had suffered that afternoon suddenly did not seem like much. Looking at her like this, I could not help rubbing her hair. Then I suddenly remembered the flyers had been used up, and that uniquely ugly poster had also been torn. "I'm going to print some things. The dishes are here. You eat first." I squeezed Lily's hand. "Will you be okay here alone?" Lily wrinkled her nose. "I'm not a child." I rode the little e-bike back to the apartment, and the sky had already grown dark. On the balcony, our clothes swayed gently in the evening breeze. I swiftly put away my own clothes. Then my gaze landed on Lily's clothes. When did this girl help me wash my clothes again? Then it was only reasonable for me to help put hers away too. Right after confirming the door was locked, I took down Lily's intimate clothing. Though we used the same laundry detergent, I somehow felt there was a faint, subtle fragrance. The image of Lily wearing these clothes involuntarily surfaced in my mind. The sound of footsteps in the hallway suddenly snapped me back to my senses. I shook my head, feeling like a pervert. Clearly, I could just act shamelessly with Lily directly. After folding the clothes and putting them into the wardrobe, I picked up the USB drive and prepared to head out. Before leaving, I turned back again, grabbed a backpack, and brought my bank card. At the print shop, I reprinted 600 flyers and that ugly poster. While the printing was being done, I also went to the bank and withdrew 20,000 in cash, stuffing it into the backpack. When I returned to the restaurant's private room, the girls were chatting enthusiastically. "What, you were picked up and brought home by Ethan Walker?" Yvonne's eyes shone. "So you two are living together now?" Lily shrunk into her chair, her face red like a boiled shrimp, steam almost rising from the top of her head. "Where did he pick you up?" "We'll go squat there every day too." Jason cut in. Autumn Lane frowned. Although she felt Ethan Walker was not good enough for Lily, who looked like her. After thinking about it, if this silly girl had met someone else, she might have been eaten clean by now. "But why did you go with him?" Autumn Lane pressed. "Even if you had nowhere to go, with your looks, it wouldn't have been hard to find a job that included food and lodging. Of course, it was love at first sight." I pushed the door open and pulled Lily into my arms. "My girlfriend is innocent. Don't teach her to be too clever." Autumn Lane huffed and grabbed Lily's arm. "I have to teach her properly so she won't get tricked by you." "What could I trick her out of?" I raised a brow. "Trick her into having my baby." I placed a piece of brown sugar rice cake into Autumn Lane's bowl.